right, guys. Let me know if you can see this. All right. All right. All right. Good, good. Sorry about that, guys. It kept trying to make me preview the stream, but it wouldn't allow me to preview the stream. It was some old bullshit. YouTube was on that bullshit, y'all. On that bullshit. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me finish setting everything up. What's going on, my lifers? Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody can see and hear me okay. I think we are all set now. I really want this one to pop off because this is going to be a good show, a good topic. All right. Good. Let's see who all is here. All right. What's up, Seventh Heaven? Formerly the moderator formerly known as Deidre. The moderator formerly known as Deidre. How are you doing? Let me make sure that everything is still set properly. Give me 1 second. All right, looks like we are in business. All right. I am Aaron. Being funny. Here you go. Being funny. Yeah, I was actually here right around 7:25, but it took me forever to get the stream to actually start. What's up, Nubian sister? What is it? His name is this person? I am Aaron. I think this is the first time I've even seen you. Just gonna come in starting shit, huh? Okay, well, it's good to see you too. It's good to see you too. What's up, Daniel Brown? Nubian sister, exclusive princess, my mango bango. What's up? Good to see you. Let's see here. Great Dane, of course. Yeah, man. Good to see you in here. All right. Ms. Montblanc. Good to see you in here. What's up, Aramis? Nubian sister says, before you begin, please check out Vicky Diller on Fly Nubian Queen on YouTube. Okay. I will check it out. I'm not going to check it out right this second. What is it about, Nubian sister? Tell me what that's all about. Okay, I am Aaron has been watching you for a hot minute. I'm XJW. Okay. What's up, Dominican truckers? Love your live show, but I usually start driving around 2 a.m. Okay. Well, it is Memorial time and Easter time, the time when people run to the Kingdom Hall and pass around emblems to one another that no one can partake of unless you want to be looked at auspiciously by the or suspiciously by the people around you at the Kingdom Hall. Who the hell is this eating? You know how you go to Memorial, you see people that's never been there before, and they get the wine and the unleavened bread, and they just start eating it. Everybody's like, yeah, this is his first time. This is his first time. He has not been here before. He does not know how this works. Nobody eats it. Nobody eats it. So today, guys, let's get it in. Let's just jump right in. How did you wake up Wait, before we even start that, hey, is there anybody that's brave enough? Oh man. Uh AJ Clayton says, "What's up, K Fitz? I didn't even get invited this year." Uh Seventh Heaven says, "I'll be dragged out backwards." Not Jehovah's Witness says, "Can't stay sorry, K Fitz, mate, but keep up the great work. Stay happy, y'all, and have a good time." Thank you so much, not your witness, not Jah Witness. Does anybody have some crazy memorial stories they want to share before we get into the how we woke up part? Because I, of course, me, it's always story time. Nubian Sister says she is one of the hosts. Oh, why'd you retract your statement, Nubian Sister? I want to see what you were going to say. Of course, with me, it's always story time. I always have a good story. Always have a good story. I remember one time when I did get invited this time, but I was invited by a guy that works at the Kroger near me, and he tried to study with me while I was still married, but he wanted to have a study with me because I wasn't going enough, and he tried to have a study with me, and I just got sick of that dude coming by the house. What's up, Totally Faded? And I just cut that shit all the way out. But I saw him at Kroger one day, and he looked at me and walked right by me. Now, this dude is somebody that I had known, that literally knew me since I was born into the congregation. And he had been coming by my house to try to study with me. Now, granted, I will say this, guys, when I was younger, I was really, 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 really skinny, like painfully skinny. And getting older, I've started working out a lot more. I've gained weight, and of course, I grew my hair out. Back then, I just had a really short fade. So I said, well, maybe it's just that he doesn't recognize me. Because at first, I thought this something just flat out ignoring me because he's probably found out I'm an XJW, and he hates me. But one day, I just walked up to him. And I said, "Hey, you remember me?" And he said, "No, I don't." He said, "No." And I told him my name. I said, "That's Keith. You grew up. I grew up in your congregation." And he said, "Oh, okay." And he spoke a little bit. And the last time I went to Kroger, I saw him. And he said, "Hey." I said, "Hey, what's up?" He said, "Hey, how you doing?" He said, "We got the memorial this week." I said, "Yeah, I heard." And I just kept walking. I just kept on walking. "Yeah, we got the memorial this week."
Hoo, 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 no.
That's what I wanted to say. No. But I remember one time when I was little, I had a stomach flu. I was throwing up all day. And it was on Memorial time. And damn it, we had to go to the memorial. And I was literally throwing up in the bathroom. I had to throw up. You know how you get that real bad stomach flu where you have to be near a tub and a toilet at the same time? Like you sit on the toilet and throw up in the tub, because if you turn around, you're gonna have a real I had them. I had that stomach flu. What's up, Foxy Loxy? What's up, Jumanji? But we still had to go to memorial, and I was sitting there literally crying in pain at the memorial. And I'm sitting here thinking, you saw all that shit that was filling up the toilet, and all this vomit that was filling up the bathtub. Now I got to sit here and run back and forth to the bathroom so that I can pass around some shit I can't eat. I was so mad, but I was really young then. Really young then. What's some other crazy memorial stories we have in here? Let's see. Nubian Sister says she is one of the growing hosts covering intelligent black conversation regarding current events, health, economics, etc. There's also a Fly Nubian King TV site as well. All right. Phyllis Stewart says, I remember being told that if someone that you don't know partakes, they're an apostate or don't know any better. They were the smart ones. Okay. AJ says that. So, okay. Yeah. Gotcha. I am Aaron says our parents were garbage. Nubian Sister says, everybody hit thumbs up. Yeah, man. Do me a favor. Thank you, Nubian Sister. Thank you. If you haven't already, please like the video. Please like the video. Antoinette Weed says, I am sorry, K-Fist. That same thing happened to me a few years back. I started puking right when the song started. What's up, Aunt Renee? Aunt Renee is in the chat. Everybody, y'all got to give a shout out to my aunt in the chat. Give a shout out to my Aunt Renee, please. Aunt Renee said, what's up, nephew, in chat? Everybody say, what's up? Everybody say, what's up to my aunt? What's up, my mango bango? Ms. Mont Blanc, yep, my stepmother from hell couldn't miss a meeting, a memorial, a field service, or nothing, but I could miss all the fun everywhere else, right? Such a cult. Jumanji the Pharisee says, there was an old lady that sat next to me and partook after memorial, and an elder asked me, did I know her, because we never saw her before. Yeah, that happened once, too. I remember I was at the memorial, and story time, and this dude came into the memorial. He had a starburst colored suit on with pinstripes. It was starburst colored with pinstripes. He had a jerry curl that had been combed back straight. And he came in and he sat in the back on the right. Now, of course, we all know that as men, 9 times out of 10, at memorial time, your ass was going to be standing up. You would not be sitting down unless your Kingdom Hall had really poor memorial attendance. So I'm sitting, standing up, watching this dude sit down. Of course, since if they don't know you, you can go ahead and sit down. It was Seventh Heaven said, wait, which color, yellow or strawberry? Dude, this thing was like a new mix of, it was like mystery mix starburst color. It was bright with pinstripes. Yeah, he was straight pimping. He was straight po-pimping. So we started, passing the emblems around. Well, they started passing the emblems around. And they got to his row. And they passed the emblem to him. Of course, it was the unleavened bread. This brother was not prepared for this unleavened bread. He takes the saucer, takes the bread off the saucer, puts it in his mouth, bites down on it, and his dentures flew out into the saucer. Everybody looked back, and we see this dude like this. Puts his dentures back in his mouth and continues to chew that hard-ass unleavened bread and pass the damn plate to the Jehovah's Witness on his right. And he did the same thing with the wine. I remember thinking, dude, he is drinking so much wine because he didn't take a sip. It was like Jesus told him, bro, take this shit straight to the head. Jesus said, no, go and take that to the head. Rest my blood. Take that to the head. He turned that glass up so high. I'm like, bro, this dude here, man. So, yeah, those are my crazy memorial stories. I know I have a whole bunch more. Who all Who all always had to go out to eat after Memorial? You know, you had to get in the back and say, okay, where's everybody going to eat? Here it was always O'Charlie's. What's up, Patricia Mint? We always ended up going to O'Charlie's or Ryan's. And everybody would always see us coming. Have those, you know, we had those annoying ass name tags on. Man, those are some wild days. Those are some wild times. It just seems like so long ago. Thank goodness. So, Patricia Mint says, my mother sent me a Facebook invite to Memorial on Friday. Really? Yeah, I didn't get any invites from anybody. Nobody came to my door. Nobody sent me a text or anything except for old boy at Kroger. And I just missed him so quickly. That's probably what the universe was like, yeah, don't even send that nigga no more invites to that. It's not going to happen. Patricia Mint says, I've never been a JW. Really? Okay. So, let's jump in, guys. Tonight's call-in show, because I'm going to need y'all to call in on this one. I don't want y'all to type out y'all's whole stories in the chat. I really want you guys to call in and share your stories with us, because I know when you call in, you can say a lot more. And we can really get a feel for what you're saying. And I'm hoping that this, because I think Willow B suggests, there she is. Wow, spoke up. The universe, man. That is hilarious. Because I think Willow B, and she said, hello, everyone. Willow B suggested this topic, and it's a good topic. I think if we can all talk about how we woke up, there are a lot of people who I know are probably in this chat or in the show who are in the process of waking up that may need some help to get through the whole process of waking up. And so, even with those of us who are here that want to talk and are afraid to talk, like Red Boy just said, I'm scared. You know, I was scared when I first started doing this. I was a little worried about doing it. But one thing, if you start to walk enough in your truth, man, that fear is going to go away. Because if you know in your heart you're doing what's right for you, then you don't really have anything to be afraid of. If you're going to lose people, you're going to lose them, you know? If you have to lie to yourself to keep somebody in your life, then is that person really worth being in your life? If they can't take you at your truth, then they probably aren't somebody that you need in your life anyway. And I know that that's hard. That is a very hard thing to do. Because I literally just recently had to come to grips again with the fact that I have lost the relationship with my parents. But you know what? I had to just say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Because, me and my aunt talk about it a lot. We talked about it recently. I said, you know what? Don't even worry about it, because she wants to talk to him. I said, you know what? Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. It's all right. So, once I came to grips with the fact that I'm happy being who I am. I am happy being who I am. And if they don't want to hop on and experience, life with their son, then they are losing out. Seventh heaven is, you put one too many twos, but thank you. Damn, all right, seventh heaven, know the number by heart. That's what's up. Um, Mellow Kid 99 says sex. What are you talking about? What's that all about? Okay, so I'll put the number on the screen. 615-412-9335. I'll spam it in the chat too. Look at Deidre, Seventh Heaven, the moderator, just helping out the people in the chat. Look at Seventh Heaven. That's what's up. That's what's up, Deidre. That's my girl right there. You better do that, girl. You better do that, girl. All right. So look, I know how it always happens. Excluded artists. Hey, how you doing? That's a new name. Oh, okay. Well, I don't even have time to share my story tonight. Let's just jump right in. How are you doing? You are on the My Life Show. K-Fit's My Life Show. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Let me turn it down so I don't know if it's going to be interference. This is Angie from San Antonio, Texas.
What's going on, Angie? How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I
This is
am
my first time
amazing as
seeing
hell.
the show.
Is it?
Yeah, so I had put something in the chat. I wrote, I'm age 59, and I left when I was 20-something.
Okay. Okay. So tell us your story.
Okay, what happened? Let's see. I became a Jehovah's Witness about age 12 when they came around door to door. I used to be Catholic, and they showed me in the Bible where it was wrong to be worshiping statues. So I was like, okay, you know, I want to do the right thing. So after that, since I heard that, you know, they weren't sure if the people were going to, let's say, survive Armageddon that weren't baptized, then I tried to get baptized as quick as I could. I went through the book really quick. Probably baptized about a couple of years later after age 12.
Okay.
Went door to door and everything. But the bottom line was, it wasn't until I was, well, first of all, like, when I went to college, I had sex with someone. So I went to the elders and I told them, and they said, did you do that more than once? I said, yes, I did. And they said, well, you're not repentant then.
but
like, okay.
But you said, but it was good though.
So they said, but I was like, but you would have never known if I didn't tell you.
Right.
You know. And so anyway, the bottom line was, before then.
Hold on. Did they ask you all the weird questions, like what positions you did?
Oh no.
They didn't ask you all the weird questions?
No.
That was the last show. The last show was about how they ask all these weird questions when a woman goes in and talks to them when they're getting this fellowship. So you didn't have to go through that, right?
No, but before then, when I started just reading, like I would go door to door and I was reading the Watchtower on my own, and I remember they were saying basically, you know, unless the society says it's true, it's not true. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I started reading and doing a lot of research, and I said, well, remember, because I graduated from high school in 1977, and I was preparing to go to college.
Okay.
And so I was saying, remember, Jehovah's Witnesses said the world was going to end this year and that year, naming the different years. They said, yeah. And I said, you know, I was reading the Bible, and in the Bible, it was saying if someone says, thus saith the Lord, and that prophecy doesn't come true, that makes them a false prophet.
Exactly.
And I said, so wouldn't that make Jehovah's Witnesses a false prophet? And they just about petted me on my head with the words, oh, sis, Satan is trying to fool you.
Wow.
I was like, okay. You know, so pretty much after I had done all of that research, you know, I just knew, you know, that, no, something's not right here.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And so then when I went to college, too, it was difficult because I went to, like, an Ivy League college, and when things got difficult, I was always quitting because still in my mind I was thinking, it was still that thought, oh, the world's probably going to end anyway. What's the use of trying this hard, you know? So
Right.
it was stuck with me. So I quit on a lot of things because of that, because that belief was still in my mind somewhere of, what if the world really is going to end? What's the use in trying hard? You
Right.
know?
Right.
And so finally what happened is I ended up working at a real estate office in New Jersey. I was in New Jersey at the time. And so everyone in the office was saved.
Wow.
And so the real estate broker had asked me if I wanted to go to church with her, and that was a scary thing. I'm like, I'm walking that church, that building will fall on me. I ain't supposed to be in no church. So I went to church, and of course I had never been in any church except for a Catholic church. So the first time I ever went to a Baptist church, never knew what an altar call was anything was, because I wasn't brought up in that tradition. So the first time I ever went to church, all I know is when the altar time came, God miraculously drew me, and I went up there, and I'm like, I want to be saved. So that's what happened.
Wow. Now, how did you feel? How did you deal with what comes after you leave the organization? That's the thing. Waking up is one thing, but then once you leave.
With my mother, I mean, like I tell people, I said, a lot of people will quote the Bible, unless you're willing to leave mother, father, sister, brother. I said, but most Christians have not really had to leave their mother, father, sister, brother, and everything. So basically, of course, when I left, it was like that was my whole family that was still in it.
Right.
It didn't speak to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it is.
So they still they still don't speak with you?
Right. They still don't. I put it this way: they still don't speak to me except for my mother. And it's weird the way it is, because my mother and her sister are both Jehovah's Witnesses. And so the interesting thing is they both have Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So now neither one of them ever remember that they were a Jehovah's Witness.
Are you serious? They don't remember?
So they like the holidays and everything.
Oh, that is so ironic. That is
Yeah,
so
it is.
ironic.
And they live right across the street from each other. It was like 7 of us kids, and they had 7 kids. And we all went together. So both sisters have Alzheimer's, but really, aside for that, enjoying their life, don't remember nothing about going to the hall. Don't go anymore.
That is amazing. That's kind of maybe a good thing.
I know. That's what I said.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for calling in. I'm sure we
welcome.
all appreciate your story. I see people saying things about you in the chat. So thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Take care. All right,
too.
then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Great call. She said her parents don't even remember being Jehovah's Witnesses now. That is amazing. What is going on? You on the K Fits My Life show. What's your name? Where you calling from?
K Fits. It's Patricia Mint.
What's up, Patricia Mint? How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Waiting for my clothes to dry, so I thought I'd call in.
All right. So tell us something. What happened? Tell us your story.
Yeah.
Tell us your story.
Well, I did put some information in the chat box, but yeah, my mom once again invited me to the memorial this year, and I had to decline, but I just accepted the invitation, and of course, immediately the next morning, she's inboxing me like, "Did you go?" And she's like that. It's like, "Did you go?" That's the most exciting thing in life to her, is if I become a Jehovah's Witness. You know what I mean?
Wow. Wow.
And I really hate disappointing her. I mean, as long as I've known her, I know that sounds weird, but my mom didn't raise me. So since she's been in my life, which was about 14, 15 years old, she's come into my life as a witness. And from that point up until now, her mission seems to be to make me a Jehovah's Witness. You know what I mean?
Okay. So how do you deal with that? Are you two able to talk about the organization without having issues, or how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I get anxiety about it because, like, we've had the conversation so many times in that she knows I don't wish to join.
Mm-hmm.
But, I try to, like, maybe when I was living with her, I would go once a year to the memorial, just like you would as a kid go to church with your parents just because they want you to go. I mean, I don't have a problem going sometimes, you know. Like anyone else invites you to their church, you might go once or twice out of friendship or just, you know, to be nice and cordial. But with my mom, you have to be careful, because if you go one time, 2 times, 3 times, it's like, well, why not just join? I mean, it still comes down to like trying to pull you in, you know. And yeah, I've told her I'm just not interested in joining any religious group. There's a lot of things that I've learned through my mother and through the witnesses that I love. I love the people. Like, I kind of love how they are so like community oriented with each other, and they try to reach out. Like, I get the goodness of it, but it's still not something that I want to do, you know.
Really?
So, and here's the odd thing though. Look, I've been getting like notes in the mail from like random Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm like, how do they get my address? And then I thought about it. Jehovah's Witness knows other Jehovah's Witness, or they can just call a hall in my city, and my mom can say, hey, this is my daughter's address. Can you write her? I mean, she's really trying to get me to become one, and I'm like a grown ass woman. You know, it's like, leave me alone.
So how many times have you told her that you don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness?
You know, we've had the conversation throughout the years. It's a delicate conversation. I mean, my mother believes it's just the creme a la creme of life. Like, you're going to go to hell if you don't join, basically. So I just think that for her, it doesn't matter. She's just going to talk about it constantly until she just falls over, and I just got to deal with it. But she doesn't consider my feelings whatsoever. I mean, if I was a Satanist, I wouldn't beg my mother to come worship Satan with me once a year, once every weekend. I'd just be like, okay, you know, I'm going to go do my thing. So what's this like pulling into this organization? It's driving me nuts.
That is
anyway,
crazy.
It gives me anxiety, and I don't do anything about it. I just take a deep breath and just wait till next year, and she'll ask me the question all over again, and we'll go through this scenario all over again. I guess that's what we'll do.
That's crazy.
That's
how it is. That is how it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to listen to the rest of your show. I just wanted to come in and chatter a little bit.
Hey, I appreciate you calling in, because you are saying some stuff that other people can identify with. I see it in the chat. Everybody's you're touching on things that everybody knows and deals with.
So last week I got this letter in the mail, this handwritten letter in pencil, like it looked like a 15-year-old wrote it, and I didn't even read it all. I was like scared of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, should I even touch this thing? But it's like from a Jehovah's Witness. And then last year I got another correspondence in the mail from someone who just jotted some, you know how they do, and then they write a little note on a paper and they put it in your mailbox. You know what that is, right?
Right.
They're trying to reach out. Yeah, but these are people I don't know, so I'm guessing it's from the Jehovah's Witness congregation in the community that I live. My mother's in Mexico. She's thousands of miles away, and yet she still managed to, like, put this Jehovah's Witness scenario in my face, you know?
So have you never had any time, like, going to the Kingdom Halls or being involved with them in any way? You just met her, and then she's immediately tried to convert you?
Yeah, well, you know, when I was a teenager, and I would say, like, go spend weekends with her, or like in the summertime if school was out, like the summer. So I would just, of course, go along with her. And then as I became an adult, you know, I would kind of pick and choose moments, because she's just very traditional. Like, she likes to sit down at the table and have dinner, and then she likes to get up and go, you know, exercise, and she likes to go to church, and she wants her daughter to join her occasionally. And so I do go with her sometimes, but she's clear about I'm not going to join. Like, she's known that since she came into my life. Like, my grandparents were like, don't join. And I kind of like grew up and started listening. I didn't just like do what my grandparents said. I kind of like just also just paid attention, and then I still decided that no, I don't want to join. You know, and so, but I have had Bible study for the sake of learning the Bible.
Really? With the Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah, correct.
You had a Bible study with the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
How did that go?
I enjoyed it. But again, like, it's a trick with the Jehovah. You can't just have a Bible study. I mean, I would even pay for it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like class sessions, but like the goal is after Bible study, you know, you're going to get promoted. You know, you're going to join, right? We're going to baptize you. And I'm like, no, this is kind of where it ends, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't know, you know, it's just, it is what it is. But I just wish she wouldn't keep bugging me about it, you know what I mean? I mean, if she wants to send me the invitation every year, I appreciate it. But it gives me anxiety when she contacts me the next day immediately, like following up. She's just so hardcore on the follow-up. Like, did you go? Did you go? And I'm like, oh, my gosh. She knows I'm going to say no. Why did she even put herself through this?
You are hilarious. You are hilarious.
That amongst other things. But, yeah, my mother is a trip.
Yeah, they're going to keep going. They're going to keep going until, you know, some person is not here anymore. They're gonna keep asking. But I mean, at the very least, you still have a relationship. A lot of us in this organization or in this community don't even have that. So at least you can value that and keep that on an even keel, because like I said, some of us don't even have that. So hey, take what you can get.
Exactly.
All right. Exactly. Well, thanks for calling in. I really appreciate the call. Everybody appreciates the call. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. There we go. 2 good calls back to back. Let's look at this chat. It's a lot. It's going fast. It's kind of going. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Let's see. Miss Montblanc says, I was never baptized, but was pressured to. Oh, you don't even have time. Look at y'all calling in. That's what's up. You are on the K Fits My Life show. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Denise. I'm from North Carolina.
How are you doing? Did you say Denise?
Yeah.
Hey, Denise. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
I am amazing as hell. I can't complain at all. What's on your mind?
Oh, I'm a little nervous because it's the first time I get to talk to somebody about this.
Well, that's all right. You have 40 other people listening to help you right now. You are not alone, so you can share that shit.
Well, I've been raised in the truth. I've been in it all my life, and I got baptized when I was like 12, 13 years old.
Okay.
And past couple of years, I started to wake up. I had quit going to the Kingdom Hall because of just how I was being treated. And so...
How are you being treated?
Well, I guess just as a single sister in the congregation, there's a lot of like old sisters who try to like get in your business and spread all your business. And there was a lot of like gossiping and all that petty stuff that was going on that I wasn't feeling that at all.
Okay.
So, you know, I had just quit going because it was kind of discouraging, and I'm thinking, if I have to keep, you know, going through this just to, you know, be pleasing to an organization, then, you know, they can just have it, you know.
Right.
So, after a while, I started watching, you know, the YouTube videos and, you know, went down that rabbit hole and started discovering, you know, the truth about the organization and about the failed prophecies and the child abuse thing. And I got the book Crisis of Conscience and was reading that, and, you know, it was just, after finding all of this out, I just knew that I couldn't be a part of the organization anymore. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of hard because all of my family are witnesses. So, you know, dealing with the fact that maybe I won't have a relationship with my family, and, you know, my parents are up in age and all of that, it's a hard thing to kind of deal with.
So have you had the conversation with them that you are thinking or are planning to leave the organization yet, or are you at the point where you're trying to figure out how you want to do that?
I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. You know, my family call all the time. They're trying to encourage me to come back, and they're saying, you know, the end is so close. You need to come back and get right with Jehovah and all of that. And it's very uncomfortable because I know all this information about the organization, but I know I just can't just come out and say the things that I know because that conversation will just get shut down and all of that. So I'm still trying to figure out how to go about this whole thing.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel in your heart that conversation is a conversation that you need to have? Is there something pulling on you to say it in spite of the consequences that you know are going to come after you say it?
Yes, I know that I'm going to have this conversation because it's at a point where, I can't continue to go on like this because it's making me, pretty miserable because, I can't just, fake it anymore and try to act like, everything is fine, and I'll just, continue to go through the motions of being in the congregation, but knowing all the things I know I can't do that.
It's gonna get to a point, literally, and I think most of us in the chat can speak about this, that it's literally gonna be unbearable, because there were times when I would go to the Kingdom Hall and it was literally like I would step into that place and I would be so frustrated at myself for just going in there, knowing that I didn't want to be in there. You know what I mean? And even though, even now, I'm dealing with not having my parents in my life anymore, the fact is I am much happier living in my truth than living in the truth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the truth is not the truth, but your truth is your truth. Your truth is not going to change every other 10 years. When, if it's true for you right now, if you feel that way, then that's legitimate truth in your life right now. And at a certain point, we've all had to just face that situation where we say, okay, this is it. I know after this moment, my life is going to be completely different. And that's exactly how it is. You know it. When I had that conversation with my father in the driveway and he asked me to come to the Kingdom Hall, and I said, I will not be coming to the Kingdom Hall. That is your faith. I'm glad you found a faith that works for you, but it's not mine, and I won't be going to the Kingdom Hall. And he looked at me and he said, okay. And they got in the car and they drove off. And I knew right then that my entire life in relation to my parents was going to be completely different. And it was. But at the same time, I felt so much better about myself for having the strength to just go ahead and say what was on my heart.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a may. It's going to come a time where you're going to have to do it, not because I'm saying you're going to have to do it, but because your spirit is going to tell you you have to do this in order to be happy. And you'll do it. And it's going to feel like a big load off your shoulders. But then at the same time, you know what comes after. So just be prepared to surround yourself with or make new. It's literally like starting your life completely over again. You have to make new friends. This time you get to choose. If you don't have any family members, then you get to choose who's going to be your family from now on. You get to decide, I want you to be somebody that's going to be like my family from now on. And you have to find those people and stick with them because they're out there. That was the thing with me. I didn't have friends after I left the organization for a long time because my best friend was a Jehovah's Witness. And I had to go out into the world and make new friends. I literally just started making new like guy friends a few years ago. And 3 or 4 of them are like my dudes, my ride or die dudes. But I left a long time ago and I'm just now have dude friends. I'm like, that's my dude. You know what I mean? So it's going to take time, but you will feel better for being true to yourself instead of lying to everybody else. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, you'll be strong. It'll take some time, but just go ahead and do that. If you feel like you need to do it, go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're here every day almost in this chat, in this show. You got 40 other people right now who understand exactly how you feel. And you might have some new friends in the chat right now. Trust me, when you hang this phone up, people are going to start talking to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is just, I don't know. It's for a long. I've been feeling this and knowing this for a long time, but because everybody who I'm close with are witnesses, I can't be open and really talk about this. So, this was an opportunity for me to finally get that out.
How do you feel now that you've actually done it? How do you feel?
I feel so much better.
See? And that's what we've talked about before, man. It takes baby steps to get out of this thing. It's difficult for somebody to just wake up one day and walk completely out. That junk is difficult. But this is one step closer to you doing something that's going to make you feel better for you for the rest of your life. Just having this conversation and you saying, okay, well, all right, it's not so bad. Now, maybe you can have the conversation with another person in real life and one more person, and then you have the big conversation. But but you never know. Here's the thing. We never know how a conversation is really going to go. We have our fears, but just because we fear that it's going to go that way doesn't mean it's going to go that way. Now, 9 times out of 10, it's going to go that way.
Yeah.
But you never know. There's some instances where you might get an amicable conversation, but you may not. My suggestion would be to be prepared either way. Be prepared for the conversation to go left, but also be prepared for you to be pleasantly surprised.
All right.
But get ready to have the conversation. It's necessary. It's necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for calling. I really appreciate it. Are you staying in the chat?
I haven't joined the chat yet, but I will in a minute.
All right. Well, have a good night, and thanks for calling.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Great call. Thank you. Hey, guys, and Seventh Heaven, thank you so much for all of your mod work. Guys, do me a favor. I don't have my system is not set up to put callers on hold yet. Once I get to a point where that is really necessary, then I'll do it, but you have to pay for that service, and I'm not at that point yet. So if somebody is on, just wait till that caller hangs up, and then you can call in, because otherwise I'm going to have to keep hanging up on you. I don't want to do that. So great call. And see, that was a first-time caller. That was somebody. Guys, there are so many people out there who feel just like this, and Willow B, this was a great topic, because there are so many people, like I said in the beginning, that are in the process of trying to wake up from this organization, but they don't know how, and they're afraid of doing it. There's so many people that think, I think people still think they're the only ones who are going through this. They don't realize that there are thousands or millions of people out there who have gone through the same thing, and if we can help them get to a point where they can leave and be okay, dude, we're all here to help somebody. That's what we're all here to do. Yeah? Let's look at this chat. Let's see. Daniel Brown says, I'm going to call in. Go ahead and call in. Call in, Daniel. Excluded artists say they show conditional love, divide black family worse than KKK. And we can have a talk about that, because I don't think there isn't such thing as unconditional love. I think everybody's love is conditional on earth, but we'll talk about that later. All right, you are on the K Fits My Life show. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, Mr. Fitz. It's Nubian sister, a.k.a. Evelyn Garcia Fry.
Okay, Nubian sister. Nubian sister came in with the sexy vibe. I was like, hold on, who is this? I said, wait, who is this? Let me sit up straight and listen to this. Okay, Nubian sister. Well, how are you doing tonight, Nubian sister? I'll throw my sexy voice out too.
I am fabulous.
All right.
And I'm enjoying the show immensely.
Okay.
And I just wanted to call in and contribute.
Okay.
If I could.
All right, Nubian sister, do that. What you got on what you have to say? What's on your mind?
Well, the topic is, how did you wake up?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know where to start with this one, but I'll just go back to the actual time when I decided to do research
Okay.
into the organization. I was baptized in 1998,
Okay.
and so I was already an adult, been through various religions, etc. However, I won't go into that, but I'll just talk about how I woke up.
Okay.
It was actually last October,
Okay.
2018, and we were at the Sunday meeting, of course, which I hardly ever missed. And the talk was along the lines of be careful of the internet and what you see on there. You know, it was like a warning for us not to listen to the internet. And I was like, what are they talking about? I don't, uh, I don't have a need to listen or look at the internet. So, at any rate, I had been undercover, starting to look at YouTube,
Okay.
on the side, and I was watching the entertainment comedians on there, and it was enjoyable. And I know I wasn't supposed to be watching it because some of them happened to be maybe homosexual or they cursed or whatever, but I was enjoying it. Okay, so
Okay.
at any rate, after that Sunday meeting that Monday, I went on YouTube as I was starting to do, and I received a link to an ex Jehovah's Witness Bethelite,
Okay.
and his name is Marcus Vaughn,
Okay.
and the brother looked just like my biological brother. I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina, and Mr. Marcus Vaughn resembled my brother, my actual brother in California. So it was easy to listen to him and hear of his own eye-awakening experience when he finally arrived at Bethel and realizing that it wasn't all that they said it was. And it just opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to see that there's homosexuality going on.
Mm-hmm.
There are females being abused in there. There's a high-ranking position. You're ranked as far as, privilege and what goes on in every other organization, what's going on there.
Okay.
But, the rank and file is never privy to this information. So once I found out that information, I just started delving into the other ex-Jehovah's Witness sites, like True Face, which is a young, beautiful young couple that they're online, and they give an excellent program. And,
Yeah, I've seen them before. They do a really good job.
Yeah, excellent job.
Mm-hmm.
And the critical thinkers, ex-Jehovah's Witness critical thinkers, that's another group,
Right.
couple,
Mm-hmm.
So it just opened my eyes, and I was literally sick, like for a week. I couldn't keep food down. I just slept. I was just sick, literally sick, and couldn't go to the meetings. Right?
Okay.
So, I just let the friends know when they called me what was wrong. I said, I'm just sick. So when the brothers finally came, because my husband was like, they're going to come. They're coming to get you. My husband's not a Jehovah's Witness. But he would tell me, oh, they're coming. I said, I don't care. Let them come, because I was doing my research.
Okay.
I was finding out about the Millerite movement where, Russell got his information from. I had got it all broken down. I was ready for him.
Okay.
But in actuality, back to the question of what woke me up, it was the two-witness rule.
The two-witness rule.
Right. The fact that they lost their lawsuit,
Mm-hmm.
the $35 million lawsuit,
Mm-hmm.
protecting pedophiles.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit my heart because I said, how could, I finger the Catholic Church for hiding the priests who are pedophiles, and our organization is mirroring the same thing.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so that was, that really, really started me opening my eyes and being very definitive, even if, I might have thought about not going before just because I didn't feel like, devoting so much time to it, but this time I was convicted of why I don't need to belong into this organization.
Now, when you made that decision, how did you carry out letting anyone know, or did you carry out letting anyone know that you had made the decision, and what backlash did you face once you did that, if you did it?
Okay, so once the brothers did arrive at my house, two of them came.
Okay.
Okay, uh, unannounced because they, no, I'm sorry, not unannounced. They came to find out why I was sick. They thought I was just sick. And when
Okay.
when they sat down at my kitchen table,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and I said yes, I was sick, but not only was I sick just because of a cold or something like that. I was sick because of the information I learned about the organization, and I expressed to them the two witness rule and how it affected me personally because I, as a child, was molested, and that I cannot represent an organization that protects pedophiles.
Mm-hmm.
So the one Caucasian brother, who's supposed to be the head of the two that came, he said to me, "Oh well, we take this very seriously." And I said, "Okay, yeah." And then the other one tells me, "Oh well, we had a situation at the Kingdom Hall, and we followed the brother into the bathroom." And I said to him, "Are you honestly sitting here going to tell me that that is a solution to dealing with a person who is identified as a person who molests children?" I said, "I'm sorry, I cannot be involved with your organization. I know me, little Evelyn, is not going to change anything, but I can make a stance and not represent you. I can do that at least." So they said, "Well, we'll be back." And I said, "Whatever." I was cordial and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew once they left that door, that was the last time they were, going to come into the home as far as trying to talk to me about anything, because I know that I learned, that they can lie to you if it means to protect their doctrine. They will out and out just give you a lie.
That is true.
You know,
They believe that they
yeah.
have the right to withhold truth if they think that
Mhm.
withholding the truth is beneficial to them. They've said that before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, like I think in the May 2019 watch show, I don't look at it, but I've heard that there's articles pertaining to the two witness rule in there,
Mm-hmm.
but they have not actually changed the rule in their, you know, committee books that the elders use to govern the rank and file. So they're not going to really change that rule, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. It goes into um, the the fact that people devote their whole lives to this organization. They don't prepare themselves for their senior years. They're left without any retirement plans.
Mm-hmm.
They're left without any money,
Mm-hmm.
and they're too sick now to even go into the field anymore. So they're basically just thrown away. And if they don't have any children, which they probably felt, oh well, we don't have children until the new system, quote unquote. So here they are. They just left these poor people, and so they've attacked these elderly people, and they attack the younger people by denying them the right to pursue their goals and dreams in this life to build their own, future for themselves and their family. So it's just an all-out attack on people, on families, especially on families. And it's just becoming more clear to me how satanic this organization is. And it's so far from being from our true, creator.
I agree
So far. You could
100%.
you could see the fruits of it. It tells you you can tell a tree by the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What does it produce? And all it's producing is anguish. All it's producing is ignorance. you know. And so when I told the two brothers this, they didn't come, I didn't invite them back. They called to come back, but I said no.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't tell the people that I know, that my friends, I had two family members who were still Jehovah's Witness, and my other two siblings. So I have 4 siblings. 2 are Jehovah's Witnesses and 2 aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So I told the ones that aren't Jehovah's Witnesses right away, because they were so happy. Because they was like, oh, we're so glad you're out. And, I rekindled my relationship with my other 2 siblings that they're in Christendom, okay?
Okay.
But the other 2 that's still in Jehovah's Witnesses, one of which is my eldest brother, who we were really tight. He stopped talking to me. Now, I'm not disfellowship. I'm not disassociated. I just faded,
Okay.
But he's treating me like I'm disfellowship. And my other sister, who's still in it, who I was helping in a lot of ways, monetarily, everything, I still talk to her because at first I didn't, but after a while, she realized that I'm her sister.
Mm-hmm.
I'm her sister, and I'll always be a sister, and I'll never change. So we have rekindled, our relationship.
Good.
You're right, as of late.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't, reach out to me and tell me, you need something. I said, look, I give you something. You ain't putting that in no
Contribution box.
You know what I'm saying? I was saying, here you are, you on a fixed income. You ain't, these people are not helping you.
Exactly.
Oh, but she had nerve to tell me, oh, will you get a stipend? I said, really, Diana? A stipend?
So let me ask you this: if you could give anybody in here a word of advice for how to leave the organization, how to get the courage to have those conversations with the people that we all know we have to have those conversations with, and it's difficult. But if you had one piece of advice that you could give someone, what would you say?
I would say, know your reason why. Know your reason why you left. Okay? And if it's because of the blood issue, if it's because of the overlapping generation, if it's because of the shunning, if it's because of the child abuse, whatever it is that's convicting you not to go, because, you was once an avid Jehovah's Witness like I was. I was telling everybody I knew, it's to the point where you sit down in the office minding your business, but you're supposed to keep on talking Jehovah's Witness. It's ridiculous. So at any rate, you have to sort of rewind, okay, and really pray first about your own sanctification and your own position, how you feel personally, not how the next person feels, not how your mama feels, not how your child feels, how you feel about your existence on this planet right now and the reason why you're here. And first, get the reason why you don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness and understand why you're not a Jehovah's Witness. And do your research. Research the organization. Research the beginning, especially, of how the organization began. And it'll start to open your eyes when you read about governing body France, who wrote books, Clear Conscience. What's got the name of it? I know it's the end of
Crisis of Conscience.
He wrote a book. Crisis of Conscience, right? He wrote books. This is an ex-governing body member.
Right.
There are people who have reached out, wrote books, research, and become convicted in your own decision. Because they're going to come. They're going to start, not a lot of people, but a few. But it only takes one. It only takes one person that you've ever known before to try to come at you. Because they tried to come to me in a previous location where I lived in Virginia. I was baptized in Virginia, so I have a lot of friends, well, quote-unquote, Jehovah's Witness friends. Well, they're not friends, but we all know that. But, in fact, one called me recently, actually the other day, because I had told her what happened previously, like months ago. And she says, oh, well, you got to call me and tell me about it, but I didn't. So anyway, she calls me, And I said, "Oh, how are you?" Blah blah. She said, "Yeah, I'm sitting here with Miss Sister Frazier." So I knew this is what this was about. They're
Okay.
gonna double team me now.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, that's happened to me before a couple times too.
Right. So in times like that, be sure of what your reasons are.
Very,
Because,
very good advice. I don't think anybody could have said it better than that. Very good advice.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna get some more. We got like 3 people trying to call in, I think, at the same time. So I'm gonna go ahead and let some other people come in.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take up.
No, you are great.
time.
I appreciate that call, and everyone in the chat has too. Everyone's chatting about what you just said. So great call. Thank you so much for calling.
I had to get up the courage, you know.
Hey, but you did it, and that's what this is about, man. This is about all of us getting up the courage to do shit that's hard for us to do, and this is a first
Well,
step.
thank you.
No, thank you for calling.
Brother Fritz. Thank you, Brother Fritz. Take care now.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Man, thank you guys so much, man. This is a great show, man. Great Dane said she's got a sexy voice. Yeah, she called it. I was like, wait a minute, who is this? Are you calling for the right show? This is not 1-900 K Fitz. Does anybody even have 900 or 8? You don't know 900 numbers anymore? Oh, I'm showing my age for real. She came in like, yeah, this is 1-900. No more Jehovah's Witnesses. I was like, well, damn, what do you have to say? I think I'm going to listen to this. Great call. Thank you so much for calling. I know I'm making light, but yes, thank you for calling. What's up, John Hill? Good to see you. Good to see you, John Hill. But yeah, guys, everybody who makes that first step of just calling, man, that some of us don't have the ability to talk to somebody to share that view that we have, you know? Oh, here's another call. All right, this is a great show. You are on the K Fitz My Life show. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Keith, this is Gypsy Lily. How's it going?
This is great. Now, what is your name again?
This is Gypsy.
What's up, Gypsy?
Hey. I'm going to try to make it quick because I want to leave some room for everybody else. Hang on one second. Ooh, I must sneeze. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so Denise, the girl that called Denise, I had a very similar experience to hers.
Okay.
Basically what happened is, I kind of touched on the story before, but I've been a hardcore Jehovah's Witness. I was born in. I was hardcore. Like, I was doing regular pioneering. I was serving with Anita's Great, RBC, doing all that stuff.
Okay.
And I thought I was doing the right thing. But it never felt like it was enough. I always felt empty inside.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt like I was good enough. And that's the thing is, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're never going to be good enough. And that's the thing. I know we've all experienced that. But,
Exactly.
I never felt like I fit in with anybody. No one wanted to talk to me. All the young ones, there was always a clique. So I always felt left out. So I just stopped going to the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And as I stopped going to the meetings, you know, people were trying to get me to go back, and I didn't want to go back, and that's where everything kind of went downhill from there. I was disfellowshipped last year.
Last
year, April of 2018.
So it's still kind of fresh with you then, huh?
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's very fresh. And ever since I was disfellowshipped, everything just felt so much better. It's like, it just felt so good. I was like, I don't feel stressed anymore. I have all this time on my hands. So there was one night that I could not sleep. I was up till 3 a.m. I was crying, confused, and that's when I came across your show.
Okay.
Just a few months ago. I came across your show, and I was like, what is this? I was researching on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I started watching your show, and now that's when I woke up, is when I started watching your show. I'm like, this makes so much sense. This is, this is the emptiness that I was looking for. So my conclusion was, say that this Jehovah's Witness thing was true, say that we are going to die in Armageddon, whatever, I would rather die happy and complete than die miserable.
You know what, Gypsy? Hold on. Yeah. Let me give you this. And if you can, say that one more time, please.
And what I said was, if this Jehovah's Witness thing was true, if there is such thing as Armageddon, I would rather die in this world happy than die miserable.
So well said. So well said.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
What caused you to get disfellowship? Why did they disfellowship you?
I was going around with another brother. I met another brother. Him and I, we were the same person.
Mm-hmm.
He actually was feeling the same way. He said he doesn't think the truth is really the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And we would meet up, and we had sex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I lost my virginity to him.
Okay.
And we told him, and that's my thing, is like, if we wouldn't have told them, they would have never found out.
Are you two still together?
They would have never found out. No.
Okay.
We're no longer together. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm married. I'm with someone that's worldly.
Oh, okay.
But, my thing is, if this was really the truth, it can't be the truth, because if I would have kept it a secret, no one would have found out. So this cannot be the true organization. You know what I'm saying? Like it just didn't make a lot of sense. So.
Man, they are already quoting you in the chat with what you said. That was very, very well said, and I agree with that 100%. Yeah. So, with your disfellowshipping being so recent, how have you dealt with that? Do you have family members who are still in, or people or friends that are still in? That how are they treating you, or how did you feel once you had to stop talking to them? Have you tried to reach out to anybody, or are you just okay with, I'm disfellowshipped, I'm not going to be able to speak to anyone?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm kind of tearing up.
It's okay.
I was very, very close with my father and my grandmother. They were like they are my family. They're my heart. And they told me that they cannot talk to me anymore. I've been getting very sick, and it's like they don't check on me anymore. They don't care. So they completely, I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody at all except my boyfriend, whom I've been together with for a year. He's not a Jehovah's Witness, and then his mother. But I don't have any family anymore, so it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard to lose that. Just the same thing that you were going through. But I would rather live this way and not have my family, and I'll start my own, than try to make amends with somebody that I have to be back in the organization in order to be back with them. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be part of that. Yeah. Agreed.
And it is difficult. It is difficult. I say what I say on here when I say, yeah, I'm okay with if my parents are this, my parents don't want to speak to me. I get it. I understand. I'm going to move on with my life. I've never once said it's easy. I've just said what I've decided to do in my mind for my mental health. But I've never once said that shit is easy, because there are many days when I'm in here by myself, because when I'm here, I'm always by myself. And that's when shit kind of, you start to think about that shit. And I'm not a crier, but when it comes to my family, my daughter, my aunt, my mother and father, that's the shit that gets to me. And there are days when I sit here and I feel just like that. Oh man, I can't speak to my mother and father no more. And that shit is difficult and it's hard. But all I would say is, when you get those times, let that shit out. Don't hold that shit in. If you got to cry on your boyfriend's shoulder, cry your fucking eyes out on that man's shoulder. But get that stuff out, because eventually, and this is how it is for me, eventually I just started running out of tears. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, I think I got it all out. You know what I mean? And there's nothing, I still have those feelings, but I don't have any more tears for them. And it gets to that point, and when it gets to that point, it will help you to be able to move on a little bit better, because you will realize that it's not really your place to run after somebody, because if they're running away from you, that means they don't want you there. You can't be with somebody that's running away from you. You can't, if you shouldn't chase somebody because they're running away. So if they're running away, let them go. It's okay. Let them go. They're going to miss out on your time, on their time with you. And one day, I firmly believe this, people who have been shunned, there's going to be one day that those people look back and realize what they've done. They may not speak about it. They may not say anything to anybody in their lives, but I feel in my heart that one day they look back in their spirit, and their spirit asks them, do you think what you did was really the right thing to do? And that's something that they have to take up with themselves. That is their burden to bear, not yours. So don't even take on that burden from them. Live your life.
Exactly. And I just want to say one more quick thing.
Go ahead.
Red Boy, this is for you. I know you said that you don't want to call in, you're not ready, but I saw he put that he was an ex circuit overseer or ex
Bethelite, I think.
Assembly overseer.
One of those.
I really want to hear that story. So if you can, please call in, please.
Hey, thank you for calling in and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. I know everybody in the chat appreciates it. And thank you for having the strength and the courage to just share your story.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Man, it is getting real, man. It is so real, man. You guys are really sharing your stories, and this is so great. We are going to help somebody. We have already helped somebody. There is somebody that someone has said something that has affected them deeply. I guarantee it. Let's look at this chat, man. Let's look at this chat. Johnny Hill says she sounds nice. She does sound like a nice young lady. Miss Montblanc says everyone is worldly. That's where the members come from. Hey, very good point. Craig, what's going on from Australia? I meant to say something. Thanks for joining all the way from Australia, man. Good to have you in here. Miss Bailey 2 says, hang in there. Excluded artist, so he's talking to Miss Bailey. Antoinette Weed said, I'm sorry, Gypsy, it's hard. Many cannot understand. And that's true. Let me just go off on a little tangent real quick. Especially for those of us who are in the XJW community. Damn it. I'll get back to that. Hold on. You are on the K Fits My Life show. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, I'm Tony, and I'm calling from Colorado.
You said Tony?
Yep, and I'm calling from Colorado.
What's up, Tony from Colorado? How you doing tonight?
You? I'm good. How are you?
I am amazing as hell. What is on your mind?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for doing this and having this platform because, like you said, it's lonely. And everyone else who already shared, like all the other sisters, I've heard a lot of brothers experience, so that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Thank you for calling.
Yeah. So I just wanted to tell you, my story is pretty short, but when you talked about waking up, my waking up was like super recent.
Okay.
So I just wanted to like share it. I'm on the process of like I want to disassociate myself, but I haven't yet. So I was raised in the truth. My mom was a single parent.
Okay.
And she was not a witness. So I think she did her heart, but she did a good job of like going in service regularly and going to meetings. But she fell away when I was a teenager. She married a worldly guy, and she completely changed. So I really thought like, God helped me, because a lot of the friends in the hall helped me. And one of them, a sister, family, took me in and let me live with them, and I got baptized, and I ended up getting disfellowshipped. So, so I was disfellowshipped for about 6 years. And in that time I had kids, but I still always believed in Jehovah, and I still believed in the religion. So, I carried this guilt, and I thought I was sinning, and I was going to die, and my kids were going to die. So I started going back to meeting, and here's where my story starts. I'm disfellowshipped, and this really isn't relevant, but now going full circle, it means a lot to me. I was Googling Kingdom Halls, and I found, I'm driving, I just moved to a new town, and I'm looking for a Kingdom Hall, and I go to a church. I'm like, what? So I look for something else. I find a cemetery or a mortuary. And I'm just like, okay. So I call a number, and I guess the Kingdom Hall hadn't changed their number, so I get in contact with a brother. So the only reason that means a lot to me now is looking back at how this society does business, what I've learned. I'm like, wow, that should have been a red flag to me, but it wasn't. So I find a hall, and a brother calls me, and he's like so nice, and we'll help you. And he knew I was a single mom. I had a baby at the time. She was 3 months old.
Okay.
And I had a preschooler. So this particular week was the memorial. He's like, my wife and I will save you a seat. So I go to the memorial. It's my first time at this hall, and nobody was really that nice, but I didn't care. The sister, she right away, like, I'll help you. She'd kind of like take my baby sometime. I ended up getting reinstated. This couple, this is where my story starts. He started texting me, like, we're out in service one day, and he's, like, apologizing. He sends me a text. I apologize for my comment if it made you uncomfortable. I'm like, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, my comment about the cream-filled Long John donut. Ha, ha, like, laugh out loud. And I'm like, what? No, he didn't. And that continued and escalated to, like, after the meeting, telling me how good my legs looked in my skirt. Commending me for staying single. It was just, and he's the congregation coordinator. So I'm like, wow, like I didn't feel like I had anyone to talk to, and I kind of wanted to tell his wife, like, your husband's inappropriate, But she, at this time, she's studying with me, and during her study, she's like saying, she wasn't very spiritual at all. She's really mature. I saw her mistreat a lot of the friends. She just really insecure in her marriage, and in fact, that's what we would talk about a lot of times. So I just didn't feel like I could, like, I didn't want to burst her little bubble, but, like, I need to get away from these people.
You didn't want to burst her bubble, but you was like, ma'am, your husband is trying to fuck me.
I'm like, when he was in the basement and she had to, like, knock, I'm like, I've been friends with a lot of elders' wives throughout the years. I'm like, but nobody knows their man better than the woman. So right. I just felt like, so there was the other thing. At the same time this is happening, I would like be in the bathroom with my baby, and I come out and she's on my phone. I'm like, how did you bust through my? Oh, I was turning the volume down. So I kept catching her with my cell phone, and at one point he wanted to put me on their cell phone plan. Another time he tried to get me to work at his job, and mind you, like, I need more money doing what I do. I'm like, why would I want to go do, like, I was like. And then a unit in their little apartment for fourplex opened up. They're like trying to get. I'm like, no, like, yeah. But I could feel her, like, I knew she knew. So I just like, I'm gonna get away from both of them. So I wake up to all these text messages from them every day. I started ignoring him, just like flat out ignoring him. I wouldn't even say hi to him at the hall. And the only time my kids around too, they gave the appearance like they really love my kids. She made a comment like my kids wouldn't miss me if they never saw me again, which. All those things, I'm like, this is not like.
Wait a minute. She said your kids wouldn't miss you if they never saw you again. Well, was she gonna murder you or something?
She's just alluding to like the fact that I babysit them so much, but she babysat them a couple evenings a week. And when my schedule, so she was really. My opinion is she was just very immature, like for an older lady, and she would quite often like at the hall. She raised her hand one time. That sisters should not go to the elders with their problems. They should go to a mature sister like her. Well, she didn't say like her, but that's what she meant. So, she had a problem with sisters and her husband because she told me. So this is another reason why I didn't feel comfortable telling her. When I first met her, she told me she had banned a sister from hugging her husband. And, just these weird things that I'm like, cause I kind of grew up in the world too, so I was just like, I don't really feel comfortable. I don't know, maybe I should have told her, but I just wanted to get away from the both of them.
Wow.
So, I ended up just stopped coming to the hall, and we had some special pioneers in our hall, and the one, he's like so nice, and he's like, I showed up to an assembly, a convention one time, and he's like, where have you been? And I'm like, I don't want to be around those people. And I had been, sinning, quote unquote sinning, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I don't care. I might need to get disfellowship, but I'm not talking to that dude. Like, he's not gonna. I watched him shoot another young girl. In the meantime, he had disfellowshipped her, and then his wife studied with her, and she did the same thing. She's like, get me away from these people. Like, I can't stand them. Mm-hmm. I was like, he's not doing that to me. I don't care if I get disfellowshipped again. So they end up like when they redid all the halls, the circuit overseer was here, and they kind of like made them go to another hall. So everything was like fine for a while, but I kind of felt like these weird vibes because they merged some of the halls, and the halls, these were people she knew, and I just like, the brothers told me I'm paranoid, but I really got vibes like people thought like they had to watch me or something. And I'm like, okay, mind you, this dude is not even somebody I would like check out single. I've never really been attracted to any of the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mess with married men. I'm just like, wow, okay. So I just sort of like stopped going to meetings. The elders had also told this one brother who was picking me up to stop picking me up, but he was picking me up with his niece, and she just wasn't very spiritual either. So that just like, he stopped going to meetings. So I kind of started trying to go again on Sundays. In the meantime, in Colorado, it's legal to smoke. So I would like smoke sometimes, and I would just start thinking about this religion. And I also started learning about some like high society, like cult-like, organizations. And I'm like, wow, that sounds like Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, it just always sounded like, well, that's just Satan probably copying God's religion or whatever. So the circuit overseer comes in. He's like, I never met a circuit overseer like this. He was like catcalling his wife, like she's giving a demonstration. He's like, whoa, wait, look at her. I'm like, I kind of feel uncomfortable with my kids, I'm like, okay.
Okay, hold on. Were you at like one of these swingers congregation? Was this like wife swap congregation? It sounds like it's a whole bunch of sexuality in this Kingdom Hall.
No, it's just there's a lot of like older married people, but I don't know. I'm not from this town. I didn't grow up here, and I really don't have a lot of friends in the organization like at all. And the ones I try to be friends with, it's like, I was watching one of the girls' channels, Smurf Girl, and she said, you would never be friends with these people. And it's true. Like, maybe a few, but for the most part, no. So the circuit overseer comes, and he's like, I'm trying to, like, find something to take notes on, but he wasn't saying anything noteworthy. So he's just, like, talking and, like, scolding the congregation, and at one point he made a comment about kids, and he's like, kids? Ew, and then I promised he looked me in the eyes and called me a fast girl, but of course they said I was being paranoid too, and I'm like, no, I know that people judge single moms in this organization, but I'm a single mom because of the organization, so I shouldn't say because, but it's a big part of it. So I just kind of stopped going to meetings again, and something happened with my kids, so we all end up, this is the end of it, so we all end up in the back room, and we're having a talk, and there were some things that came up, and the way the elders were talking to me, like, I was like, this is not God's organization. He was, like, calling me dysfunctional. I'm getting upset, right? Because they're, like, calling me all these names and, like, basically saying I'm a bad mom. And I'm, like, getting angry. And they're like, look how angry you are. So I was like, I walked away from there, like, this is the end of this. I'm never coming back here again. And I could tell my son was, like, really hurt. But it just didn't sit right with me. So I Google good old C.T. Russell. And I find that my mom's a court reporter, so it was really interesting when I found some old depositions by a court reporter from that time period about him humping Rosie Ball, or whatever her name was, at the Watchtower, and how Rutherford was nothing but a drunk. And then that J.C. or C.J. Woodward guy who claimed he was, like, demon-possessed while he finished the one book. And I'm just like, I knew it. I knew it all along. This is why.
Wow. That was a lot. So
I know, I'm sorry.
I mean, there was a lot for you to go through it. Like, so have you already left?
Well, okay, so I had I'd had a habit of not going to meetings like this since I've been reinstated. and I almost got disfellowshipped actually again not too long ago.
So are you
but I
disfellowshipped
didn't.
now?
No, so I want to disassociate myself now, and I was so afraid to get disfellowshipped again. And when I was sat down, I thought about it, I'm like, why? If it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's real and you need it, but these aren't my friends. And my mom, it's funny, is like I was trying to tell my mom, you need to go back to Jehovah, you need to go to the meeting last year, and she went to the convention with me, and I just like want to call her up and be like, get away from the cult, get out of it.
So okay,
Don't
so
let us fucking having money up.
so you are not disfellowshipped, but you're fading basically then, right?
Well, yeah, I never I didn't think this was possible. I really believed in this religion. Like, I've been mostly probably worldly most of my life, but I still always believed in God, like Jehovah. And then when I see why the organization now says not to, like, spend time, like, because when I started, like, and even old other cults, like just smaller ones and older civilizations, you just can't help but, like, think, like, and then after the Jonah video, I went home and I watched a documentary on Mesopotamia, and I was like, wow, they really got, like, the art that they displayed, it was so similar to, their Sumerian gods or whatever they believed in. And
so
so I'm still considered a witness, but I'm not a witness, and nobody really comes around here. And the sisters that have called me, I just told them I don't want to be a witness anymore. I don't want to be around people like that.
I understand. I can totally understand why you said that. Well, thank you so much for the call. We're going to get some other ones on here. We're going to try to keep the calls a little bit shorter, guys. But thank you no, not just you, but thank you so much for calling in. And everybody is talking about that. Everybody wants to know the address of your Kingdom Hall. Everybody's like, where is that Kingdom Hall? I'm going to try to go over there and get some action.
Oh my
So
God.
funny. Well, thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, straight into another one. You are on the K Fits My Life show. What's your name and where you calling from?
What you doing? How's it going, K Fits? It's Daniel Brown from Toronto, Canada.
What's going on, Daniel Brown? How you doing, man?
I'm good, my man. I'm good. How you doing?
Man, I can't call it, brother. What's on your mind? Tell us something interesting. What's going on?
Now, well, I'm just calling, share my experience and my wake-up story,
All right, tell us what happened, brother.
Well, just to make it clear, I never made it past, being unbaptized publisher,
Okay.
At around 15, when I was still living with my parents.
Okay.
I decided to stop attending meetings,
At 15.
And as a matter of fact, my last meeting was I had a part that day, and I remember I did that part, and I guess you could say I aced it.
Okay.
And then I was like, nah, I can't do this no more, because it wasn't because I was doubting. It's just I was like rebelling, I guess. So I was in that stage where it's like, you can't have one foot in and one foot out. So I basically told my parents, listen, I gotta do me for a bit, and maybe I'll come back.
Okay.
So they allowed me. They were respectful about that. So I went and did my thing. So around the age of 19 is when I really started. Well, I wasn't really investigating the organization per se, but I was researching religion, Christianity, Islam, everything that has to do with that topic. And I came to the conclusion that none of that had relevance. So at that age, I was able to basically discard all of those teachings and all of those philosophies and not agree with them, basically for the fact that, I saw how they upheld slavery and certain things and how it affected the progress of people in the Caribbean and in South America and African Americans. So I was basically turned off from organized religion from then, But it wasn't just about 3 years ago though that I realized that the Jehovah's Witnesses was really a cult situation. When I started looking into that, I was blown away, because I was like, damn, all this time I thought, well, at least I thought, at least in the Christian sense, Jehovah's Witnesses got it, the most down. But then when I realized that it was really a cult situation going on, I was blown away.
Okay.
And since then, it's been crazy. I was like, nah, there's no looking back. At 19, I was like, there's no looking back, from there. But when I realized that there was more to it, I couldn't do it,
So how did you deal with leaving at such a young age? Because that's pretty young to walk away.
Yeah, well, it was the way you carry yourself. I chalk it up to that. It's how you carry yourself, especially with your parents. My parents were converts. It's not like they were born in. They were converts. They were immigrants to Canada, and they converted here in Canada.
Okay.
And my experience was in the Spanish congregation and Latino congregation, right? So, it was different because they chose that life as adults. So I was able to, I guess, explain to them that I'm a child, still not knowing what my life is about. You guys know, you guys have lived this life. You guys have done things. And you expect me to conform to this lifestyle, and it's not happening right now. Maybe if you give me a little bit of time, I could maybe mature and grow into it. But as of now, I can't do that. That's why I told him at 15 originally, right?
Right.
And I played the politics with them that they say in the hall that you can't force your children. It has to come from your heart. This and that. So I was able to play politics with them, So that's how that went with them, They was like, okay, well, it's cool. And I wasn't baptized. That's another thing. I never, as a child, I was always uncomfortable, even being in the organization, doing parts, going to service and everything. It all felt weird to me. There were certain things I never agreed. I was even expected to shun, disfellowship family members. And I remember when I was expected to do that, around 11 or 12 years old, I was like, nah, that's not cool, because I've known these family members before I knew what you guys were, you know what I'm saying? So
right.
How do you now expect me to shun these family members? And then on top of that, I play politics with the elders. I'm like, well, the rule only applies to baptized members, so you can't enforce that on me. And then they were like, whoa, this kid, he's bringing out, he's smart like that, but, it's just the way I handle myself. It's my demeanor. I handle myself in that way. If this is what the book says, if this is what the rules are, then how can you apply it to me, So
okay.
I just dealt with it that way. So I always felt, as a child, I'm saying, my experience as the Jehovah's Witness, my experience as a child, right? So you can't tell a child that they're wrong on how they're feeling. You know what I'm saying? As a child, I started going to the halls when I was 5 years old. I was going parts when I was 6. You understand? But even from 7, 8 years old, as a child, I could always feel that something was wrong. All those pictures that they used to show us in I think it was the Daniel or the Isaiah book. I can't remember, one of those book study books. And yeah, I spent like 3 weeks where I couldn't even shower and nothing like that, because I was scared of those beasts that they would present in the images.
I know. They've had a bunch of crazy little pictures in those magazines.
Yeah,
back then too.
So I feel like one of them would pop up on me in the shower or some stuff like that. I was spooked, you know what I'm saying? So you can't tell me, and I have children now, you know what I'm saying? I see how they react to certain things. So you can't tell me children are lying when they tell you how they feel.
That's a very good point.
Innocent.
That's a very good point.
At that time, I hadn't smoked, I haven't drank, I haven't had sex, I haven't done anything. I'm really an innocent person.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I'm feeling a certain way, then that should tell you, that's red flags, Okay, when I became a teenager after I left the hall, I got into certain things or whatever, but that's because, goddamn, I lived a life where I don't even get to celebrate my birthday. So for sure, I'm a rebel with the first little things that come my way. You know what I'm saying? And plus, that's just being human. That's just growing up. For a long time, I felt like for a long time after, like I said, at 19 is when I woke up from organized religion. Period. But from 15 to 19, I was still indoctrinated Jehovah's Witness style, right? So through those 4 years, I always walked around feeling like I could die. I could die at any moment. I could get I could get shot, I could get killed just for not being Jehovah's Witness. Because at that time also, I had friends dying, friends that had left the hall, been murdered, doing, certain things that happened to them. So you kind of, it kind of enforces, oh, you're walking away from this, and then something might happen to you because you see other people falling into certain things, and like I said, some of them had even died. You know, but it just turned out to be coincidence at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Thank God, 'cause I'm still here. We popping.
Right,
and
right.
None of that means anything. I realized, and I'm also grateful that I was able to realize all that young, very young. So I was able to just live my life.
So how do you deal with your family now? Do you have interaction with them?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah. Well, my parents, yeah, I speak with them. I have a good relationship with them. We don't bring up we don't bring anything up. They don't ever invite me to any function or anything that's going on like that. They're pretty respectful on that, and I can't complain because I've heard stories, yours included, and other people's stories where it ain't that
right.
It ain't that nice, So I feel, in that sense, I feel a little bit grateful that I still have my family. I got cousins, I got other aunts that are in it as well. Everything's courteous. I mean, civil. You know what I'm saying? We can keep it cool. Everything is we could come together and just be family. We don't have to necessarily talk about that, or
exactly.
I don't gotta critique them. and they don't have to try to influence me in any type of way. So I'm grateful for that, because I know a lot of people in the chat and other people in the community, are in a tougher situation, and I feel for them for real. You know what I'm saying? Because I could imagine, being detached from family in that way.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you for getting out so early at such a young age, man. That is rare.
Yeah,
for you to be able to do that.
to.
That's rare, bro.
I had to because it just wasn't feeling. I wasn't feeling right. There were times where I'd break down at home.
Mm-hmm.
I break down at home. My parents would ask me, "What's wrong with you?" I'd be like, "Listen, I just don't feel right. I don't feel right being here. I don't feel right being at home." You know what I'm saying? Like, growing up with Jehovah's Witness parents, like, everything is negative. You see everybody during the holidays, everybody around you is having fun. Everyone's being with their family, and you're just living around where, like, you're living with two Grinches all the time. People, my parents would always be like all upset when it'd be the holidays, scoffing and looking at people weird because they're enjoying their times at the mall, shopping for Christmas and whatnot.
Right.
It was weird. It's very dark. It's very dark in a sense. Like, I love my parents. They nothing against them. They raised me to the best ability, but just that gray cloud over our house, it was always there, like a gray cloud over our house. Nothing going on. We just sitting around. It's New Year's. You hear your neighbors, popping a bottle at midnight, and we supposed to be sleeping. I ain't sleeping. I'm trying to listen to the radio very low. Trying to hear the countdown, whatever. I'm trying to do my best to participate. It was very, it's very crazy. Growing up as a Jehovah's Witness child, because, like I said, that's my experience as a child in it. Trying to go to school, participate with everybody, trying to keep it under. You're trying to be undercover. I was undercover. You know what I mean? I was trying to not make it seem obvious that what was going on.
Well,
I know a lot of people know what that's like.
Yeah, man. Dude, man, thank you so much for that call, because I think you're probably one of the only people I've heard that have gotten out at such a young age like that. People are applauding. Great stuff, man. Thank you so much for the call, brother.
For sure. I appreciate you taking my call, and again, thank you for doing what you do, and I hope your platform grows, and much success to you, brother.
Hey, thank you, man. You have a good night. Thanks again for calling.
You too. Big shout out to the chat. Love you guys. Peace.
All right, brother. Thank you, man.
Peace.
Peace. Man. Hold on. Caller, call back. Just give me 1 second. I need to say something real quick. Guys, this right here, this bomb right here is for, hold on 1 second. Caller, give me one moment. Give me one moment, caller. This is for Dad. This is for Seventh Heaven. Thank you so much for being such a great moderator. She got somebody out of that. I think we may have had a little bit of a troll going on in here. But thank you so much, Seventh Heaven. You are doing an amazing job as a moderator. Thank you so much. Now, caller, you are on the K Fits My Life show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, K Fits. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is 1111-007. How are you?
Hold on. What is going on tonight with all these sexy voices? What is the deal? Y'all not gonna stress me out on this show tonight. Now, God, every woman that calls in has this sexy voice going on tonight.
I've been trying to reach out to you for a while, even by email, because I was really afraid to call. So this is huge for me.
Well,
really,
thank
really huge
you.
for me.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for calling, and thank you for having such a nice phone voice. Now, tell us something amazing. You've taken this huge step. Now, tell us what's going on.
So I'm really nervous, and I have a lot of thoughts. So I wrote everything down to try to keep it straight and keep my long story short. I was born into the organization, third generation. Come from a long line of POs and elders and, a long line of servants in the congregation. So, this is, like I said, this is big for me. And technically, I tick all the boxes that we talk about from a young age. I had to get a blood transfusion. I was born premature, so the courts had to, how they do a court order to do that, and
right.
I had that happen.
Okay.
I've experienced sexual abuse and physical abuse all before the age of 6.
Okay.
And so it was a rough start for me. Fast forward to my 20s, and all that time in the truth, and raised by parents trying to be servants of Jehovah, I guess you can say.
Okay.
Even though they weren't good examples, the things I experienced with them were like the worst things you could experience. But in my 20s, I got, pregnant, and I got publicly reproved.
Okay.
And at that point, I, determined myself to just do right by my child, raise him in the truth, stick to Jehovah, not veer off. And, I did really good for 20 years, really good, raised him and did really well. But I struggled through the years. It was always a struggle. I kept going. I had, loneliness, depression, a lot of fear, fatigue, because, I never really could do enough. I was struggling being a mom and struggling trying to be the perfect example of, what a witness should be. And, I did really, really good. Over 20 years, I did really, really well. But as my child got older, I kind of started pulling back from field service. It was hard for me to kind of be phony, to use a word that I hear often. I had to really be authentic. So it got difficult for me to continue in field service, kind of telling people, oh, do this, do that, be this way, be that way, when I wasn't that way. I wasn't always happy, or I had my own struggles. So I pulled back from field service. As a result, I had a shepherding call. In that shepherding call, the elders there was one elder in particular, he was like a bully. He had this kind of history of bullying and pressuring people. But when they came to my home, he was like telling me, like, okay, well, you're going to do this, and you're going to be in service on this day, and you're going to be, do this and that. And I felt it was disrespectful. Even though I'm a single woman, you can't come into my home and tell me what to do. You're not the head of my household. And, that really raised some issues for me.
Okay. I can understand that.
To say it like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he kept putting pressure on me. And finally I kicked back. I just, went in, told him off, and it didn't sit well for me. I kind of at that point, started a chain of events that I couldn't know that I was going to do, but, it started having an effect on my child. It started doing things kind of to take it out on him. And with that really messed me up. It's one thing to do it to me, but it's another thing to involve your child.
Okay.
So after that, I reached out to my ex, and I was struggling and going through things in the congregation. So I reached out to my ex, who was a worldly man, for for help, for some guidance. And then that's when, pornea, our favorite word, we we did that, and I got disfellowship.
Okay.
So while I was disfellowshipped, I guess after a year and a half, I went to the meetings and did everything I was supposed to do properly, and they told me no, that I needed to do more. So I was kind of befuddled at that point. I was like, what more can I do? So I started researching reinstatement letters. And that's when I ran across a letter of a young lady who had written, she had written a letter, and they reinstated her, but she said up until 2 weeks before they reinstated her, she was still smoking and having sex. So I was like, okay, how can this be? Holy Spirit should have stopped that. That just started like a chain of events or questions for me in that regard, which made me really question, are these really Holy Spirit-led decisions, or are these men, making these decisions? So I did that, and I hesitate to tell my current situation, but I made this call so that I can help other people. So what happened for me was another year and a half passed. I got reinstated, and I might have gone to 1 or 2 meetings, and I haven't been back since, and that was last year. And it's hard for me to vocalize, but I couldn't be phony. And after 2.5 years of being out, now I'm supposed to kiss and hug these people. Some of these people I've known all my life. They wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't look at me. It was very nasty, the things that I experienced. So now it's like a light switch. I'm supposed to go hug and be happy and, do the prodigal son thing. And I just refused to do it. I'm not the prodigal son, and I couldn't be phony. I had to really be, my authentic and honest self. So I haven't been back. It's been a long journey. Some days I'm okay with it, and some days I get very, very angry. And that's kind of how I feel today. I'm more angry than I am fearful of someone hearing me tell my story, because it wasn't right what I experienced. It's not right what all of us experience. And so no longer do I live in fear. Now I'm more angry, and I want to help other people through my story. So that's why I'm calling today, and there's a lot more to what we go through, because we live in a state of fear, and we're very vulnerable. Like being raised in the truth, when you step out from the truth into reality, you have no idea what you're getting into, because you're not prepared for real life. And for people who have children and who want to live a good life, it's just important to prepare your children for real life, because what we're learning in the truth is not real life, and you're not prepared. And so I was so vulnerable as I experienced real life growing up and raising my son, and so many things could happen to me. And thank God they did it, but I didn't know anything about navigating the world, and it wasn't my fault. So there's a level of vulnerability that we experience that's different from other people, and that needs to be discussed. Not, like I said earlier, not only sexual abuse happens, but also physical abuse. When I, at the age of 5 years old, when I had marks all over my body from physical abuse. When they took me to the elders and he looked at my body, the elders decided not to say anything because they didn't want to take their brothers to court. Who does that? So you leave the child in that situation because you don't want to take a child to court and get him out. So there's just so much that goes on, and I hope I can inspire somebody just to live better, because for the first time in my life now, I'm not scared anymore. I'm not fearful anymore. I'm more angry and ready to live the rest of my life in an authentic way than I am fearful, and I appreciate you for everything you're doing.
I appreciate you so much for calling 1111-007. Now, let me ask you a question. Why did you pick that name 1111-007? And I think I may know why, but I want to hear why you picked 1111-007.
It's my birthday, and I see it everywhere, and I have for the last 10 years. I'll wake up and look at the clock. I see 1111. When I'm at work, I happen to look at the clock at 1111. It's also my grandfather's birthday.
And you know what that means, right? 1111 is a numerological symbol from, now this is from the law of attraction thing that I study a lot too, and I feel this is true, and it totally applies in your case. The number 1111 means that you are going through a spiritual awakening, and it's a new beginning and a new start for your life, and that you have been called upon to share your knowledge and your story and your light with other people. It means that you're a light bearer. You are a light worker, and you are called on from the universe to help other people. And you're doing that right now. I don't even know if you realize that that's what that number means, but it does. And what you are doing right now is such an amazing thing. And I take my hat off to you for coming on this show and sharing that story with us, man. That is huge.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I received that. I realized, I felt that it was something special to it when it kept happening. So when I see it now and when it keeps presenting itself to me, I smile. And, you know, I know it has a significance and a meaning. But I just, you know, I want to really, like I said, just help, like you said, help other people and, you know, stop living in fear. That's the biggest thing, you know, to be happy. You can't be fearful. And for so long, I walked in fear every day, all day, trying to be perfect, putting that pressure on myself. And now it's gone. So if they hear me, they want to come talk to me about me calling. If all those fears I had are out the window, what's more important is that people hear my story, understand they're not the only ones. Red Boy, everybody, Southern Boss Lady, I've been in your chat for a long time. I'm so afraid to comment, so afraid to call. It's not worth it. It's more important to just help others and, you know, let people, we help each other. And that's what this journey is about. So I really, really appreciate your show and everything you're doing. You don't even know how much impact you have had on me in getting to this point. So I thank you, and thank everybody, even the chat. You guys are all awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling 1111-007 and keep pushing and get that. Look, I get angry every now and then too, and I have a big old shouting match in here by myself, and I just scream and let all that junk out because you can't hold it in. You gotta let it out.
Right, that's right.
So
that's
let your anger out so that you can have that joy right after that. And I appreciate you so much for calling. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
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 Oh, guys, y'all not gonna do this. Y'all not gonna get me on this show crying, man. Y'all are not gonna do this. But, dude, what a great call, guys. There is so much that we can do to help each other out there. Everybody has a story, and somebody can relate. There might be somebody that may not even relate to my story. There's somebody out there that relates to what she just said, man. So please share your stories, guys. This has been a great show. Okay, if you just called in, if you call from an unknown number, I'm not going to answer it because it might be a troll, and I'm not trying to lower the energy of the show by having some troll coming on here saying something crazy. So if you're calling, please allow me to see your number so that I can know that you're not a troll, all right? Because tonight has been so many calls. I can't even count how many calls we've had tonight. So please let your number show so I know that you're not a troll. Red Boy, thank you so much for the $25 donation. But Red Boy, I'm going to say this to you. You know what would be a better donation for me? Would be for you to one day call in and share your story. I appreciate your $25 more than you know, bro. But you have a story that so many people have asked in the chat to hear from you. People want to hear your story. And so one day, I hope that you will have the strength to just call in and talk about what's going on with you. And I know deep down you want to, because you keep saying you do. You keep saying, one day I'm going to tell you, oh, my story is this. I know you want to tell it. I know you want to tell it. So one day, I want you to call in and tell your story. Dorinda Nicole, that is my girl. That is my fam. Dorinda Nicole says, see purpose. Love this. So powerful what you're doing, Keith. This all touches my heart. So inspiring. Thank you, Dorinda. And guys, thank you all so much for being a part of the show. Miss Bailey, I didn't realize that was you. And I know it has been hard for you to call in, too. So I'm appreciative of you for calling. Yes, let's see if this is you. You are on the K Fits My Life show. What is your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, is this Miss Bailey?
Oh, Miss Bailey. How are you doing?
Hi. How you doing, Keith? How you doing?
I am amazing as hell. It is good to hear you. You've been trying to call in for a minute, and you did it.
Yes.
You are here. Share with us. Talk to us. What's going on with you? How did you wake up? Tell your story.
All right. Well, I got this fellowship. It's been a couple years now. Almost around this time of year, like 2 years ago.
Okay.
And that's so like I actually was still going to the hall up until probably about last spring or somewhere around that time. And I was just getting fed up. By the time I even got this fellowship, I was going to the meetings, but not not on a regular basis. Or if I did go to meetings, I was always late. I just was getting really sick of the whole experience. And every time I was sitting in the meetings, it just kept sounding real repetitive, same information. I experienced the same thing as that other sister that just called in a little while ago, and she was saying she had like problems as a single sister, like like having friends and just kind of connecting to people. And I didn't like it, so I was like, this something is weird. I was like, this is like really crazy. So anyway, long story short, I met somebody that was in the world, and we got involved. And I went to the elders. Never been in trouble a day in my life, but when I went to the elders, they just fellowshiped me.
Okay.
No chance. This was like, you're out. And I was like, that's crazy because I'm like really close to my mom, and I almost feel like they did it to be, smart or whatever, and to hurt my family or whatever. So I was like, okay. It's like, well, just have to deal with it. And so I kept going to the meetings for about almost a year after I got this fellowship. But I just couldn't stand going to the meetings. I mean, I was really just not like going there. So one day I think I started like typing in something about witnesses. I don't know what I was looking up. I can't even remember what I was looking up. And then the first video pops up was like something about, the XJW critical thinker. And I liked what I saw, the title. And I was like, man, I was like real scared. I was real paranoid at the time. I was like, I'm not looking at new JW. So, they always talk about the apostates or whatever, the whole. So I was like, no, I don't want to go in there. And then I was looking up something again for research, and the same type of videos start popping up again. I was like, what is this? So I clicked on it, and that's when I found the YouTube channels. And that's when I started finding like XJW Critical Thinker. I found Kim and Mikey, but a couple other people, and it was like real good. So I started saying something is not right. And when I started binge watching it last summer. It was everything I found was so good. I was like, I'm out. I was like, this is my official wake up call, my official reason to just be out and stay out. But before then, before I even started having problems with the whole, like one of the things that started raising my eyebrows because I had a bunch of like weird experiences. Like the whole time I was going to the hall, I was there like maybe since I was a little kid, like maybe like almost 30 years, but baptized 20 out of 30. And I was always had these weird experiences. Like right after I got baptized, I noticed that the friends would stalk me like all the time. Like I would be at my mom's job or, out in public, different places, and I would always see these friends, and they would just kind of show up at different places, and I was like, this is kind of weird. And they would just like, and then they would have some stupid excuse about why they were there. So then I think it was around early, I want to say somewhere around maybe like 2006, 2007. I knew that my mom kept saying she thought that like people kept playing games with her, and she worked in a public job. I'm not gonna say where she worked right now, but she worked in a job where she relied on like appointments and stuff. And she knows that people always would play games with her appointments, like call, make these fake appointments and cancel. And she kept saying like somebody's like harassing me or playing games with me. She's like, I don't know how they're doing it though. So then it dawns on me one day that somebody had to been, I guess at the time she had a cell phone. They had to been listening to her cell phone, and they was playing games with her. So when I switched states where I was living at originally, where I grew up, I noticed that when we went to this particular congregation, I don't want to say the name right now, later date, but I don't want to tell you where it's at because it's such a small area, like they'll know exactly who I am. Okay. So anyway, so when I went to this congregation, I noticed that they were just like nobody would be real friendly to me. But then at the same time, like they would ask like little nosy questions, like they would always kept asking for, give me your number. oh, we'll go out sometime, just try to act like, like fake friends type of stuff. So then I kept having these weird experiences, and I said, oh, so my phone would go black, or, just all these little weird stuff. And then it dawned on me that it was this young couple in my Kingdom Hall. They were hacking my phone. Now, mind you, I couldn't stand this couple. They didn't like me for whatever reason. They didn't get along. They just was, to me, one of those people, they have to be the center of attention or else they don't want to deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized, I said, you know what, it's them. I said, it's them too. I said, I didn't get my number to anybody else. All this weird stuff happened when I switched, when I moved over to that area, that particular congregation. And I said to myself, it's got to be one of them. It's them, it's that particular couple, and it's their friends, because I realized how they were acting. So when that sister just called in, she was saying how she would catch the sister on her cell phone. I saw some similar stuff too. Like I would be at the home, and I knew sometimes I'll put my songbook down, like certain people, things with my name on, like my actual first and last name on it. I knew this. I would see certain people, like so this one sister. I know for a fact that she worked for the government. I don't know what she do. She would pick up I caught her a few times picking up my literature, like picking up things like she's looking for the exact spelling my name, just all weird stuff. She would follow me at work, like if I was commuting to work. I know it was a couple times I caught her following me, just like weird stuff. So I think some of the witnesses, and this is no lie, you can check other people's channels. I think in certain Kingdom Halls, they definitely have some kind of little ring where they stalk people. They stalk people and they hack people's phones, and they do all kind of like inappropriate, illegal stuff. It's not it's nobody's imagination that they would catch the witnesses doing weird stuff. It's definitely going on.
Okay.
And I called, and you know what? When I switched congregations, since I lived in this particular state, the state I live now, I've been in 2 different congregations. And I had a big blowout with my mom and some other people about the whole little situation I thought was going on. And when I switched congregations, the one I had just came from like last year, when I first got there a few years back, I had wrote a letter to the elders. They got on my nerves so bad because I was like, just getting depressed and just going through all these changes. And I told them what I thought was going on in that other congregation, and that I was being harassed. And I made a real detailed letter, gave it to the elders, and I addressed it to the elders in the old congregation and then the one I was going to recently. So the elders kind of like joked about it. They just kind of ignored me and my sister when we told them what was going on. And I noticed they kind of swept under the rug. And I was thinking to myself, oh, I should call the police. I should report this. Do you know the elders actually told me don't contact the police? They told me they didn't want to get out into the public. They told me not to contact the police. And they just said, well, that's, they read some scripture or whatever, and basically, you shouldn't take your brothers to court. Mm-hmm. And they told me, that's not they said something, the elders said something stupid like, well, that's not that wouldn't be a win for either one of us if you took somebody to court. And I was thinking to myself, like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
And then in this meeting, they admitted that this situation has happened to a family, but it was like, they weren't young people. I think it was like an older couple when they had kids or whatever. And he said they was being harassed and stalked in exactly the same way. And then brothers, he tried to pretend like he was going to help them. He said, oh, maybe I should write to headquarters and notify them about the situation. So me being dumb, not realizing that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society is worth so much money, I was thinking, you know what, let me just leave it alone because I don't cause any confusion. I was thinking I had no idea that they were worth the amount of money it was worth. Mm-hmm. So I was like, leave it alone. So I'm just leave the brothers alone. I'm not trying to cause them a problem, and I'll let it go. But I feel like the whole time I'm in that congregation, I felt like something was odd, like something was weird. I felt like everybody always treated me real strange. Never would barely want to speak to me. A couple of older friends would speak to me, be polite or whatever. But the young people, I noticed, always act real weird. They would never invite me to no parties, never really want to associate me for no particular reason. Mm. And then when I started thinking, me and my sister, one day we were talking, and I started thinking about something. And I was like, well, remember when we first moved to the state that we live in now? I said, do you remember it was this couple, and they said that they were leaving the congregation, and they were just, I think, at that point studying. They hadn't become witnesses. And it was like, I'm leaving because I don't like being harassed. And we asked them what happened. And they kept saying that somebody was talking about their personal business on the platform. And we was looking like, what are you talking about? Like, we were really confused. And then it dawned on me, they were being harassed in exactly the same manner, but they wouldn't tell. Nobody would tell the whole story, but I think they were being stalked too. And they would say smart platform. Yeah. But at the time, I didn't make the connection. She was like, and then lady, when I ran into her in the supermarket, I said, oh, hey, it's good to see you. I said, how you doing? She was, I'm good. And I was like, I started asking a couple questions. She was like, I would never, she was like, ever go back to that place. So whatever it was they said about that particular couple, I didn't pick up on it because I didn't know the personal business. And this was like a nice little wealthy family too. Like they've been real nice that they had came to that particular congregation. They live in a really expensive like little area. Their house is almost like mansions. That's how nice it is. But anyway, whatever they said about that particular couple, the couple picked up on it right away, and it was like, I'm not coming there. And I think they probably was stalking that couple too, probably jealous or whatever, harassing them. They said something from the platforms, and they was like, that's it, I'm out. I'm not coming back there. You know?
Wow. So that's what led up to you, like, leaving the organization?
Yeah, well, what happened was it was all a bunch of little weird things. Like, it was like over the years, man, I think about it. Things that kept giving me little red flags was, okay, the stalking, constant stalking from the time, and it mainly from what I can remember, it seemed to all happen after I got baptized. Like, I was officially baptized. All the weird stuff happened. Just, constant stalk. My mom was always being stalked. I've had people follow me, like weird stuff like that. I had people, I believe, hack my phones, hack my emails. I believe definitely 100% witnesses behind it.
It's really weird that you bring this up because my ex-wife, her mother, used to always say shit like what you're saying right now, and I always thought she was crazy. Well, she kind of is crazy, but I always thought what she was saying was like BS. I'm like, you just meant not. And I remember literally saying one day, why would anybody want to follow you? Like, why would anybody there want to stalk you? And I brushed it off. But what you're saying is some of the exact same things that she would say.
No, they did. They did absolutely stalk me because my mom, she worked I'll just put it like this. She worked in a public place. And I remember seeing her job one time, and I would see the sisters literally hide behind, like, wall fixtures, different things. And they had no reason. They wasn't really coming there to, utilize, do any business. But I would see them hiding, like literally hiding behind things. And I was like, that is some weird stuff. Like, you would come all the way over here to stalk us for what? And I don't think that's real strange, And I just kept saying, that's weird. And then just like little weird, so many weird things I can't even explain to you. You would think I'm nuts. I don't think I should. I won't get into it right now. But other stuff, you really will think I'm nuts.
So have you left the organization all the way now? You're all the way out?
Yeah. I haven't been to the hall in about a year, probably about a year.
So do you have family that's still in the organization?
Just my mom and my stepfather. That's it. We were the only witnesses. Ironically, we were only witnesses that were ever in the truth. Like everybody, all my other family, they all go to church.
Okay.
The ones everybody's in church. But my mom, I think, is like really devastated because like my whole life, I never got in trouble for anything. Mm-hmm. And I think it was hard for her because she just felt like, oh, you're just angry. Come on back. Mm-hmm. But I keep trying to tell her like little things that I found, like you need to pay attention to this. And she's like, come on now, I'm sick of hearing this apostate stuff. Stop listening to those liars, these fake people. She think I'm making it up. And she think I'm just angry. And I keep trying to tell her it's not about what I did. It has nothing to do with that. Like, and my mom even admitted to me recently. Well, no, she not. Why wouldn't we say she admitted like recently, within the last year? She said other weird stuff like that happened to her too. And she says like people keep following her, just weird stuff. And like she's doing a favor, giving my sister sometimes she'll give her a ride or whatever. And, just, do a little errand for her just out of, just being kind. Like, she don't hang out with us, but she'll do, like, things that's, like important. Like, if we need, like, if my sister need a ride or something like that, she'll give her a ride. So she says that people are always constantly, like, driving by her, giving these, like, menacing looks, looking, trying to make her feel uncomfortable. Like, why are you with your daughter type of attitude, And I keep saying to myself, Mom, like, why do you think that's not normal? Like, why does anybody care who you're talking to? And especially your own children. Like, why would they care?
What are they trying to accomplish by following you and doing this stuff with you guys? What are they trying to accomplish?
They report everything back to the elders. And the thing is, I actually caught somebody. This is like in the early 2000s in my old, like when I was living, I've got to put it like the Philly area. Okay, I actually caught a brother. He never knew we saw him. But one time I was out like on my like a patio area, like an enclosed patio,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm throwing away these big boxes, right? And it was big enough that I could stand behind it. I caught this elder sitting on our street, like literally watching us from a distance. He was sitting in his car, and he was watching my family's home because their house faces big long street. And I caught him outside, like basically like he doing surveillance or something. And I always thought that was very strange.
Are they still doing this stuff?
That particular family moved on. We happen to live in the same state now,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, they still doing the stalking. Like for me, yeah, I see some little weird stuff. Not like being followed, but I had some other activity that made me think that they still keeping tabs on every little thing I do or whatever. But my mom, she says that people follow her. Like say she goes to the mall or just out in public places. She goes places by herself without my stepfather.
Have you called anybody about this?
One time I tried to report it, but nobody ever came because it's not an emergency. And it's a lot of like, I think it's like a low priority for anybody.
Okay.
So I tried to go to I did try to go to police station and like report it or whatever. And they just told me, it was like they basically blew me off. Like they basically told me if somebody's stolen me from you, just like they was like go ahead, like they said just call from your phone. I was trying to tell them. That's part of the stalking part too. Like, why would you? They didn't want to hear it. I mean, they don't care. I was trying to go to police more than one time. And it's just like I can't get the help. And it's like I see on TV. I'm like, people have similar situations and they get help. And it's like, and I feel like when I try to go tell people, like, they're like, they just act like it's no big deal.
This is amazing. Now, this is the first I've heard someone verify this information, because as I said, I thought she was crazy when she said that, but you're verifying it. Your sister has your sister seen the same thing as well?
Yes, they keep harassing both of us. Not sure why. And even and the weird thing is too, this was last year. I had switched one of my job locations or whatever, and one day I was coming home and I noticed this brother. He's married too, by the way. This couple, and it's like to me, him and his wife kind of like little stalkers anyway. But this brother's married. I went to go to Starbucks one night. This is late at night, like after work, late evening.
Mm-hmm.
I stand in Starbucks ordering a drink, right? And I thought somebody, when I was driving, kind of drove a little too close. And I was thinking, this is weird. So I ignored it, didn't pay it no mind. And I went to the Starbucks. I'm standing there ordering. Was like literally, if I had moved back 2 inches, I would have bumped the man. He was standing behind me. I didn't even know he was behind me. That's how close he was standing behind me. And I was like, what the? I took this because he did that. I took a picture of him. He stalked me. He followed me to Starbucks. I don't know at what point. I don't know if he's following me for my job or he knew what area I was coming to, because I think I had mentioned to my sister, like on the phone or text or something, I say, I'm going to Starbucks. So then when I'm leaving the Starbucks, I see a car like following me closely. So I sped off. Whatever, and I was like, that's weird. I told my sister about this person. I was like, I saw him today. I said, he was so close behind me. I didn't even know he was even in the store, okay? Then another time, that same brother, he came to my job, and he did it like 2-3 times. And like the first time, I think I didn't even notice because I was so busy, and he was just kind of walking around, whatever, And I was thinking, this is weird. So what I did was when I noticed he started coming, I started taking pictures. And I was like, and I sent it to my sister, and I was like, why does he keep coming to my job? He never came to my job before. It's like a recreational place, so my part-time job. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. So he pretended like he wanted to go play basketball. One day he literally sat in the lobby for hours, pretending to read a newspaper or something dumb. I was like, why would you sit there and why are you worried about what I'm doing?
Wow.
And then his sister did the same thing. She comes in and uses the thing in the recreational center. I'm like, what? This is weird. I was like, this is real weird. And she don't speak. She come there to me just to show me, just to act like I don't want to speak to you. I was like, I've never known none of those people to even ever come to that particular place. And then it's of course because they know I'm disfellowship. They don't want to speak anyway.
Right.
And what do you keep coming here for? And they keep doing it, and it's just annoying. And I'm like, this is weird. This is all real weird. And I'm like, I don't even go to the hall anymore. Like, why do you keep bothering me?
So how did you left because you said you were disfellowship, right?
Yeah, but by the time I got this fellowship, I was kind of like not going to meetings regularly. I actually woke up after I got the fellowship because it was just like I just didn't even expect it. It was just like unbelievable. You know, I was just pressed and I started I went on YouTube. I had no idea what I was looking at. I think I was doing some kind of religious, like some research. Like I like to watch these other channels that talk about like religion and like, you know, truth or whatever. There's one channel like called Truth Unveiled, and he talks about a bunch of religious doctrine and how like some things that you taught in Christian churches are a lie or whatever. So I was already into I still had faith and I still wanted to know more information. And I don't know what I typed in, and that's how I found all those XJW channels. Because a couple were weird, and I was like, nope, not messing with them. They look too weird. But then I found like I told you, the critical thinker one.
Right.
I found the and there's a few other people I found that were really good. And then later on Cedars, I found John Cedars too.
Right.
And I was like, oh, these channels was good. And I found, I was like, this is good. And I found your channel too. It was I don't know what channel I went on, and then that's how I found your channel because it was linked to somebody else or whatever, somebody else that had joined or whatever. So that's how I basically woke up. I just was doing research on the internet, found a bunch of channels, and then I started realizing and fact checking some of the stuff that I found on the channels, and I started thinking it's true. That is true. Like a lot of stuff they were saying, and I've seen just a little bit of corruption in the the congregation. I've seen people get appointed as elders that were clearly just they're not nice people, and they're just like I know things about them behind the scenes, And I kept saying, this can't be the Holy Spirit appointing people. I know this about them. You know what I'm saying? It was just weird.
Right.
I'm like, I know it can't be Holy Spirit. And then like I also saw the brothers play with the numbers. You know how the circuit overseer comes,
right?
And it was like your meeting attendance, and it
right.
Years well over a decade ago. A circle overseer came to the congregation. At that particular time, we had to be maybe 60 or only 60 or 70% of the people that should have been there were attending regularly, like attending the meetings. So when he reads the report, he says we have 100% attendance, and I was like, the heck we don't. And me and my sister looked at each other, and I was like, wow. I was like, these people are like straight up lying.
This place is getting crazy, man.
I'm like, who fudged the numbers? Like, and why would they do it?
Wow.
Something ain't right. And I just kind of blew it off, didn't think about it. But it was just so obvious when he said it. And I'm like, okay, you're lying definitely lying. And then another time when I had switched congregations, one of my close friends, I think the sister, her husband might have been kind of waking up. She kept throwing little hints out there. And she was like, well, first of all, she was like, they read this announcement and said that they were short on donations. And she said, let me tell you something. She's like, me and my husband faithfully put money in that box every week. So to say that there was no money collected, she like, somebody's stealing money in there. So she's like, I put money in the box, and that's how I know was money came in, because I know what I put into the box. And she was like, somebody's stealing. I said, okay. And then a bunch of little weird stuff too with that congregation. Same people I thought were stalking me. A bunch of little weird stuff happened and whatever. And I kept thinking, I think the witnesses were behind, the different things that happened to people. And I was like, I just kept saying something ain't right. And then like that's a couple, there's an older couple, and I think they already had discovered the YouTube stuff, but they didn't want to say it. And they kept throwing out little gems, just throwing out little tidbits of information. They kept saying, did you hear about that stuff going on with the Bethlehem? All those nervous breakdowns and all this other stuff. I was like, what? And we were just laughing hysterically at these stories, because I'm thinking, like, where are you getting all this information from? But I think what it was, they were already on the internet. They had left the truth for a while, came back, and I think they still knew about some of the stuff that was going on, but they didn't want to, disturb my faith or say anything. But I think they knew something was up then,
This is crazy. This is crazy. Now, this is something we need to we're gonna talk about this one in the chat for a minute. I'll see if anybody else has some input on this one, Miss Bailey. Hey, Miss Bailey, firstly, let me say thank you for having the strength and the courage to finally go ahead and call in. Because it's been, I know it was a struggle. You called before and hung up. I was like, this girl here. But you went ahead and called in and talked for 25 minutes the first time, and you were scared, but you talked for almost a half hour. So you must have had a lot of stuff on your chest.
Yeah, I was like ready to cry the first time I think I called in. But yeah, I'm over them. I'm over that organization. As far as I'm concerned, it wasted the last 30 years of my life. Just caused so many problems in my life. And I was just thinking, okay, maybe I would have kept going to church, but at least I would have been happy. I would have had my family.
Right.
You're talking 30 years away from my family, and it's caused so many problems. And for what?
Well,
You know?
well, the thing is, look, you know now, and whether you've lost whoever you've lost, or if you gain whoever you've gained, you know the truth, the real truth, and that's the thing, man. Once we learn how to walk in the truth of ourselves, that other truth that doesn't matter anymore, and that's what I'm glad to hear, that you've actually gotten to a point where you know they did what they did to you, disfellowshipped you, cost you time away from your family, whatever, but you're still here. And you're still pushing. That's the thing.
Man, I'm just spending my time waking up other people. That's what I'm going to do with my time.
There you go. And that's what this call that you finally had the courage to call and talk about is for. Trust me, you have helped someone tonight. So you should be very proud of yourself.
All right. Thank you.
No, thank you, Miss Bailey. All right.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Right, bye.
Amen. You guys are doing it big tonight, man. Thank you so much for calling. John Hill said, tell her to check a window. Someone might be outside watching. Oh, man. Guys, this is great. I don't think we've ever had this many calls and this many people watching at the same time. The show is growing, guys. We are helping. We're getting more and more. We had almost 50 people in here at one time. So I mean, for this show, that's a big growth to go from 10, usually about 10 to 15 people to almost 50. Man, we're really helping a lot of people. There are a lot of people coming in, that have a lot to say. I think we got a couple of calls while Miss Bailey was talking. So guys, if you called in, call back. The line is open now. We'll put the number back in. Hold on. We'll put the number back in one more time. I think it's on the screen though. No, it's not. Let me switch to that one. The number is on the screen as well. But yeah, guys, has anyone else had something that they had that stalker thing happen? Like I said, my ex-wife's mom used to say stuff like that, and I thought she was crazy. And I always thought, why would someone want to stalk you? What is it so special about you where someone would want to stalk you? But that's exactly what this sister was saying. That somebody was stalking her and her sister and her family. I mean, that's crazy. I didn't know that really happened in the JW organization. Like some of you said, yeah, it's some Scientology stuff, but I just have never heard it happen in this organization. Man, I was saying something. I meant to write down what I was talking about because it was really important, but I can't remember what it was. Maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe it won't. Let's see what's in the chat. I think I've missed a lot of stuff. Let's see if we got something else that we can talk about that's in the chat. Okay, yeah, I see what Miss John Hill says. Always someone gets involved with a worldly person. What I want to talk about too was something that 1111 talked about, and it was how when we leave the organization, so many of us are ill prepared to deal with the world. And I think that's something that is so underrated as far as how it affects people that leave the organization. Because when I left, I mean, yeah, I was an intelligent person, but there was a lot of stuff that I just didn't know. I didn't know how the world worked. I didn't know just little things, man. Like anything that's outside of the bubble of the organization, I didn't understand how it worked. I didn't understand how legal things worked because I never was involved in any legal things. I didn't understand how politics worked. I didn't understand how just regular interaction with people who are outside of the organization as an adult. I didn't really know how that worked. And I know this sounds weird, but it took time for me to even be able to learn how to correctly interact with people. I didn't really know when I first left that organization how to be, and I'm going to go there, but it's true. I didn't really understand how to be a strong black man in the world, because as Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm not going to say this is an across the board thing, but I will say that I observed it a lot. Jehovah's Witness males are very meek and sheepish. And that's the kind of shit that will get you taken advantage of in the real world, because there's not anyone to teach you to be other than that in the world, because they expect you to be a member of the organization for the rest of your life. Okay, but what about once you leave the organization and now you're a man out in the world facing other men who know how to be a man? And here you come, this sheltered Jehovah's Witness that's going around handing people who are in the real world these little flyers and talking about how, how Jehovah is going to destroy everybody on the planet that's not holding one of these flyers. And then you walk away thinking, well, hey, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. Everything's going to be okay. But it's not. And then you leave the organization and you're out there swimming with the sharks. And I think that's one of the things. Excluded artist says JW doctrine feminizes black males. It definitely takes the teeth out of the lions. I'll put it like that. It definitely takes the teeth out of the lions. And once I learned what it was like out in the world, Dorinda Nicole is, like I said, she's like my family. I've known her for a long time. I literally, once it clicked, I went from being this meek JW to being a supreme asshole, and it was because I had been run over for so long in my life. And these are things that I'm just realizing now, looking back at my life and the things that this organization did to me. I became a supreme asshole because I was tired of people running over me. And it was like they were running over me and you would realize that they were running over you, but the indoctrination that you have in you is always to just be so meek and mild and humble. And eventually, once I left, I was like, fuck this. You are not going to talk. I went from 0 to 100 real quick. And I'm not a supreme asshole like I was, but I'm still that dude where I'll give you some leeway. But when you get to that point, it's about to be a problem, because I actually had to tell a few Jehovah's Witnesses before. They kind of stepped to me a little funny one time. I was somewhere. I think I was with my daughter, and she was somewhere else, and they were asking me these questions, and they were really trying to they were really being passively aggressive, and I had to kind of check them, and I said, hey, before y'all keep going with this, let me just let you know I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, so you might want to watch how you talk to me. And that kind of of calmed the situation down. But being in that organization, especially as a man, makes you so weak in relation to the men who are in the world, who have had to go out there and fight to get what they want out of the world. You know what I mean? All right, we got another call. You are on the K Fits My Life show. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Tony from New Jersey.
What's going on, Tony from New Jersey? What's on your mind?
Well, honestly, this live stream has reminded me of like a crazy story. So about 2 years ago, I was out at this beach, and for no reason, this kid comes up to me and calls me ugly. I didn't know this kid or nothing. And I said, "What the fuck you mean ugly?" So I took a rock and I threw it, but he ducked and hit this fat lady playing volleyball. And then she knocks out. So this skinny kid was like doing the mouth to mouth. So it looked like the skinny kid would make out this fat lady. I'm like, look at that. And then she coughs up a chicken wing, dude. And it hits him right in the eye, and then he gets knocked down. And all of a sudden, police coming after me. So I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. So I went to this gas station. I'm like, I was about to get duct tape so I could fucking tie up that kid.
Yeah. Well. And he gets this. Oh, okay, guys. We have a successful show when you start to get trolls. That's how you know. That's how you know two things. One, YouTube is working and they're putting it out there that you have a show that's streaming right now and people can join in. And two, when they want to troll you, that means y'all got a successful show going on, guys. So, so thank you so much for joining the show tonight. All the likes, all the calls. We got ourselves a show. Oh, man, we got a troll, man. We got a troll. That is all good. That is all good, man. That is a compliment. That is a compliment. Dorena Nicole said he is not lying, y'all. Yeah, you really don't. Y'all don't know. John Hill says terrible troll call. HCD says so true, K-Fits. That's why JWs are taught to prey on those weak, downtrodden, and in a vulnerable, susceptible place. That's how I got sucked into the high control cult. That is so true. That is so true, HCD. And people will do that, man. They will. It's so weird that they teach us not to be that way. But they're using the same tactics that they are asking us to ask us not to cultivate. They're using those same tactics to get us in the organization. And that is so insidious, man. That is so insidious. They tell you not to be that way, but they use those same tactics to get you in the door in the first place. It's so crazy, man. But yeah, I would say that one of the things that has to happen once you leave this organization is you have to kind of start learning how the world works, which is one of the reasons why even on this channel, the shows that I have are not just going to be about the organization. We're going to talk about so much. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, is going to be a show that I'm starting called Majority Mondays, or the Majority Report. And most people, this is going to be a lot about race relations in religion and in the world in general. And it's not going to be called the Minority Report because we're not minorities. Minority is a very derogatory term. If you look up what it means, For them to call you a minority is basically calling you a child, a minor, someone who is beneath everyone else. So our show is going to be called the Majority Report instead of the Minority Report. And we're going to talk about a lot of different issues that relate to race relations in all facets of life, not just the organization, not just religion and religion, but in general. So I'm going to try to start that show tomorrow if I can get my friends to come here and talk with us talk with me on these topics. It will be more of a round table discussion. It's how I want it to play out. Instead of it being like a Google Hangout, I want it to be a round table discussion where I have 3 or 4 people here. We have the chat open. We will have a topic. We'll talk about the topic, and then people can weigh in and call in and talk with us all about it. So hopefully that show will start tomorrow. Even if I do it by myself, I would prefer not to, but we will see. But that show will start tomorrow in one shape, form, or fashion. All right, so thank you for the troll. Thank you for the troll. Okay, Dorinda Nicole, got you. Got you. You and Zach would be amazing to talk to. Gypsy Little says applause for K-Fits for keeping it together tonight and for being patient. No, you guys are being patient with me as well. All right, so the phone lines are still open. I think, how long have we been on? We've been on for 2 hours and 43 minutes. So we will go for another 17 minutes because I think 3 hours is just as much as I can take in sitting in the same spot. So we got 17 more minutes. If anybody wants to call in, the number is on the screen and I will spam it in the chat. We had so many calls tonight, man. This was great. So what we'll do is for this last moment, I thought I was going to have to start the show by talking, but I did not. Because literally as soon as I said the topic, people started calling. So it's been great. But I think you guys all know my story. But what happened with me, going back to, and y'all know how it is, it's time for a story. Again, I grew up in the organization. I was a baby, and there were sisters who would take me out in field service while I was a baby. I was literally raised from birth in the organization. Good little Jehovah's Witness. Always going out in service when my mom went out in service. Always commented at the meetings. I was always a little bit of a smart ass even when I was little. But I could read well. I was smart. My family is always, especially with my grandmothers and my aunt, my mother and father all wanted me to be very smart. So all of my family members have been really intelligent people. Again, like I talk about, my aunt is probably one of the most intelligent people I know. One of the most wise people I know. So growing up in the organization, I would always go out in service, always commented, started giving talks. I got really good at giving talks. Then I started being an I would take the attendance at the Kingdom Hall. They started giving me privileges, so I would be the attendance taker at the Kingdom Hall. I would go and turn that in every day, every meeting. And then, as you guys know, I started trying to get baptized. my ex-wife's father had told the elders in my congregation that he didn't like me, that I had all these, that he thought I was trying to marry his daughter, but he said I don't know how the way he dresses. He's always all dressed up. He accused me of being a homosexual, even though I was seeing his daughter. And this dude, his name was Carlin Harris, busted in my meeting. I was studying the questions with his father, Ernest Harris. And it was Ernest Harris and Brother James Cobbs. And Carlin Harris came in and started laying down all these allegations that her father was saying. And it was quiet. Brother Cobbs, old school dude, he was sitting in the meeting with us. He's like, hold on now, y'all. We can't have this man telling lies on Keith. We've known Keith since he was born. We've known Keith his entire life. We know Keith's not no homosexual. We know he's not doing anything crazy out here. We just can't take this man's word at face value and just throw Keith. This is exactly what he said, and throw Keith under the bus. We know Keith. We know this young man. Colin Harris wasn't trying to hear Brother Cobbs because Brother Cobbs was older, and Brother Cobbs could say some crazy shit sometimes. This is one of those times Brother Cobbs was very clear-headed, and he was not saying no crazy shit. Not just because he was taking up for me, but because he was telling the fucking truth. So Brother Cobbs took up for me. Colin Harris still wasn't trying to hear that. He said, well, we can't have this, these questions keep going. We need to stop this. We're not going to have it happen. You're not going to be getting baptized. Which that crushed me. I was crushed because I was really trying to become a good little Jehovah's Witness. So shortly after that, as I said yesterday, that's when me and my girlfriend, my ex-wife was my girlfriend at that time, that's when we started having sex. So we ended up getting married. Like I said in the last show, we ended up going to the elders in the congregation, telling them that we had sex before we were married. We also told them that we both had sex outside of our marriage. So we reconciled from all of that. And I've always been somebody that didn't want to take what someone said at face value. I always was very inquisitive. So back then, YouTube wasn't really popping like it is now. There was not a lot that you could just go and research back then to see about, what this organization really was. So it wasn't anything like that got me out. I used to ride the bus because we only had one car, and my wife at the time, my ex-wife, I said, well, you just take the car, I'll ride the bus. It's not a big deal. So riding the bus, you talk to so many different people. And I remember being on the bus, and I've always been really good at talking to people. I could just start a conversation with anybody. Guys, if you're calling in, and if you're calling from an unknown number, I will not take the call. So please don't call from an unknown number. Otherwise, I'm going to think you are a troll. I remember talking to some people on the bus, and we would start talking about religion. And a few people that I spoke with didn't agree with the Jehovah's Witnesses at all. I might have to turn the phones off for a minute. We're getting so many people that are watching, and it's probably broadcasting so much we're gonna start getting a lot of trolls here in a minute. So I might have to shut the phone lines down. I remember talking to one guy, and we were on a really long bus ride, and he was sharing all the stories of his life. Older guy, and he said something. He said, I just don't think religions the religions the way they are now are the answer. I think there's a lot more to it that we don't know about. And he said, I don't have the right to tell somebody that their religion is right or that my religion is right and their religion is wrong because I don't know. And that stuck with me. I was like, you know what? I really don't know. How can I go up to somebody's door and tell them that if they don't become a Jehovah's Witness, that they're going to be destroyed one day? I don't have the right to do that. So that's when the doubt started coming into my head about the organization. And I started looking into a lot of different religions, just reading about it, reading about, Islam, reading about Judaism, Buddhism. I just started reading a lot about other religions because up until that point, I had never even been interested in learning about other religions and other ways of thinking. So once I started reading about other religions and other ways of thinking and the way that religion is practiced in other countries, and facts like, if I were not born in the United States, if I were born in another part of the world, my belief system would be based upon where I was born in the world. So how can one thing be right when the whole thing is just basically based on your geographical location? There has to be there can't be one thing that's just completely right. So once I kept diving into those and researching those types of philosophies, that's when that dream that I've told you guys about before happened. That's when I had that dream where I woke up, went outside my house. There were two shadowy figures standing there. They stretched their hands out to me. I grabbed their hands. We flew up into space. We flew through all these colors and shapes, and it opened up this bright light. And then I was sitting in an auditorium, and these three men walk out onto the stage, and they say, "We know you guys have been waiting, but God will be with you in a moment." And that's when I got up. I walked to the right. I was trying to find a bathroom, and there was this huge library, and all these books were on these shelves. There's so many books, and they started tumbling down, and I'm climbing over all these books, and the shelves are slamming all around me, and I'm climbing over all those shelves, and I get through that door, and it's just a big room full of boulders and dirt. And I'm walking through that room, and all the dirt and the boulders start crashing down. I'm climbing over all these rocks and all these dirt and all these boulders. And I get through that room, and it's just ice everywhere. And I walked into that room, and it was cold. I could feel how cold it was. And all the snow started falling down, and the big glaciers were crashing all around me. And I'm climbing over all these glaciers and getting through all this snow. And I went through that room, and there was just a long black hallway. And I walked down this long black hallway, and I turned to the left, and there was this big restaurant. And I walked into the restaurant, and I walk up to this table, and these three guys are sitting at the table. And then the guy that's in the middle had a slight little aura around him. And I just looked at him, and I said, "You're God, aren't you?" And he just nodded his head. And I looked to my left, and one of the elders from my congregation was standing there. His name was James Fletcher. James Fletcher was a dude that we all knew was a womanizer. He was married, but he was always trying to hit on the sisters. He eventually even tried to hit on my daughter when she became an adult. And I found out because I was with my daughter playing Xbox one day. I think she was probably like 20 years old. And my ex-wife was there, and her brothers and her mother were there, and they started to mention how this motherfucker would look at Alexis and made them even made them uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, well, why the fuck didn't y'all say something to him or to me? Because see, her brothers are big. They're twins. They're huge dudes, but they're really meek. They're really meek. They're not like me. And they didn't say anything to me. And my ex-wife didn't say anything to me because she knows how I am. I really don't put up with a bunch of bullshit. And so when I found out, I said, I'm going to go to it because I knew where he lived. I said, I'm going to his house right now. And she literally begged me not to. And I said, why not? She said, because if you do that, you're going to make it hard on us at our congregation. We'll bookmark that conversation, guys. All right. You are on the K Fits My Life show. You get the last say. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up? I'm Bernard from Philly.
What's going on, Bernard from Philly? What's on your mind?
All right, so I need some advice.
Okay.
All right, I got this friend. His name's
Hold
Carlito.
on. Just be honest with me. Are you trolling right now?
No, like I need some advice from you.
About what? What religion? What religion are you in?
I'm a Catholic.
So, continuing on. She said, "Don't go and talk to him because I'm gonna shut the phone lines down for the night because I think we're done. So I'm gonna go ahead and close Skype, and I'll have the last little say." So, she said, "Don't do that because you're gonna make it hard for us. You're gonna make it hard for us if you do that." And I was so close to going to see this dude because he literally lived right down the street from my parents. So I know where he lives. But I said, you know what? I'm not going to simply because you asked me. And I said, just because you asked me to, I'm not going to do it. But if something crazy happens like that again and I find out, I'm not going to not do this. So later they went to an assembly and my ex-wife and my daughter were there and they saw him looking at another girl the same way. And my daughter was like, you should just let daddy go over there and talk to him. And so in the dream, this was the guy that was standing to my left. And I looked at him and he looked at me and he said, Keith, why are you leaving us? And I looked at him and I said, get away from me. And then he just vaporized. And I looked back at the dude that was sitting in the middle and he said, Keith, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Then I woke up. The next day when I woke up, that's when I told my ex-wife, I will not be going to the Kingdom Halls anymore. I will not be going to the Kingdom Hall. I will not be a Jehovah's Witness. I said, I will not persecute you for going, but I'm never going to go back. I'm not going back. Now that dream was the final straw that woke me up. Like I said earlier, even though I woke up, I knew there were going to be consequences. I knew there were going to be consequences. So for several years, I never told anybody else that I didn't want to be a Jehovah's Witness. But one thing that I did do, I talked to my mother, and I haven't mentioned this on the show before. I talked to my mother a little bit after I decided to no longer be a Jehovah's Witness. At this point, my father still wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. And my mother wasn't really going to the Kingdom Halls that much. So I went to her house, to their house, and I told her, I said, I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness because I don't believe what they're teaching. And my mom said, yeah, a lot of stuff they say don't. I'm imitating my mom here. Yeah, a lot of stuff they say don't make no sense. I don't understand. It don't make no sense. And I said, yeah, it really don't make sense. And so for a while, we were a happy little non-Jehovah's Witnesses, mother and father and son. Now, of course, I'm still married at the time. And my ex-wife was still going to the Kingdom Hall. So Christmas time would come around. My mom called me because every now and then we would still go to my parents' house and my daughter would be with us. So she calls me one year and says, do you mind if we put up a Christmas tree? And I said, that is your house. why are you asking me that? And she said, well, I said, I don't care. That's your house. And she said, well, I want to do it because it reminds me of my father. Because my grandfather had passed away, of course, her father. And she said, putting up a Christmas tree reminds me of the times with my father. Now, I want you to think about what I'm saying now. Think about Jehovah's Witnesses, the way they think about things. Think about the selfishness that I'm about to show that's in that statement. Okay? So my mother says, do you mind if I put up a Christmas tree because it reminds me of my father, and around this time of year, I miss him? I say, Mom, that's fine. It's your house. I don't mind at all. I don't care about you having a Christmas tree up. This is your house. So we would go to her house, and she would have a Christmas tree up. She did it a couple of years. Then all of a sudden, something changed, and they went back to being Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, she went back to going to the Kingdom Hall. Now, there are some other underlying things that we may talk about at a later time that don't apply. But trust me, you guys know how open I am with you. We will get to those things at some point because you know I got a lot of stories. So eventually, they go back to the Kingdom Hall. And as I've told you all before, my ex-wife and I, my wife at the time, and I decided to split up. Shortly after we decided to split up, we had a house fire. It destroyed pretty much everything in the house. And my father came by to help us get what little things we could get out of the house. He wasn't much help, but he was there. We had a few VHSs and some DVDs, and there was a lot of stuff that was in there that we couldn't get out. But I remember I had the movie Predator, and I had it in one of the boxes that we pulled out of the house. And he reached in and was like, oh, man, you got Predator. Can I borrow this? Can I borrow this? And I'm thinking, nigga, really? I got like 6 things. You trying to borrow one of them right now? I said, dude, whatever. I don't care. So we got all of our stuff out. He does the huge favor. He calls the electric service to tell them, hey, this house burned down. Can you turn off the electricity? I'll help you out. Let me call it NES. And so we didn't have anywhere to go. The only person in my family that offered a place for us to stay, my father didn't, my mother didn't. The only member of my family that said, if you guys need somewhere to stay, you are more than welcome to come stay with me, was my aunt. My aunt was the only family member that I have that said, if you guys need anything, I'm here for you. Not my mother, not my father, not any of the friends from the Kingdom Hall. As a matter of fact, later, my best friend that I grew up with, I ran into him, and I said, what's up, man? He said, hey, what's up? He said, how's everything going? I said, oh, everything's going okay. I said, the house just burned down, so, we don't have anything. He said, yeah, I heard about that. How's everything going? And I said, you heard about it? And he said, yeah. And that was the last time I talked to him. So after that, I was like, if you my boy, and I've been your best friend since we were 5, and you heard my house burn down, and you didn't even try to, call me or nothing. All right, well, we're done. So at this point, I moved to Hermitage. She lives where she lives. And I still hadn't had the conversation with my parents yet that I'm officially no longer a Jehovah's Witness. So several years go by, but as those years go by, I lose contact with my mother and father, not because of not being a Jehovah's Witness, but simply because I'm no longer married. And I wanted nothing to do with my ex-wife. My parents didn't like that, so they stopped speaking to me even before they found out that I wasn't officially a Jehovah's Witness. They stopped speaking to me for that reason. So eventually, I would see them every now and then at my ex-wife's house when I would go see my daughter. And one day was the day that we finally had the conversation, because we hadn't spoken in a very long time. I would see their car there and I would keep going. Or I would be there, they would see my car, they wouldn't come in and speak to me. Well, one day I pulled up and I saw their car there, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to run from this anymore. It's time. It's time. So I knocked on the door, and no, actually the car wasn't there. I knocked on the door, I walked in, and my mom was in the living room. And she said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Fine." And so we had small talk, and then my father pulled up, and when he pulled up, my mother went outside with me. She said, "Come on." So we went outside, and she was pointing to me while she's walking. "Oh, here's Keith. And she just got in the car, and my dad was in the car, and he just looked at me and said, "Hey, Hoss, how you doing?" I said, I'm good. He said, "We haven't seen you in a long time. What are you doing?" And I told him what I was doing or whatever. I said, "I'm teaching at Vanderbilt University." And he said, "Don't you need a license for that?" And I'm thinking, motherfucker, I haven't talked to you in 10 years. How do you even know what I have or don't have? But I just, he's meek and humble and mild and sheepish. Ain't no point me arguing with this man. So I said, "I'm more than qualified, dude. I'm doing really well." And he said, "Why don't you come to the Kingdom Hall with us? We're going to the Kingdom Hall tomorrow night. You just come to Kingdom Hall with us." And when he said that, I had to take a moment, because it was realization time. It was realization time. In my mind, I knew this was it. This was the moment that I had been putting off for so many years. And I wasn't even, I had no time to prepare for it, because I didn't know it was going to happen today. But here it is, smack in my face. What am I going to do? Here we go. Am I going to say what we always say? "Yeah, thanks for the invitation. I'll come by. I'll definitely come over. Yeah, thank you I'll come." Knowing we're not going to come, but we just want to say the nice thing anyway, just to keep them off our back, and to not make them think that we're just leaving the organization. Is that what we're going to do today, Keith? Or are we going to do the real one? So what I say, all right, it's time to do the real one. It's time for the real one. And what did I say? "Well, Dad, I'm glad that you and Mom have a religion that works for you. But that is not my faith. That's not my religion. And I won't be coming to the Kingdom Hall with you. But I'm glad that you guys are happy." And they were both looking at me as I was talking. And when I said what I had to say, they both said, "Oh, and turned and looked straight ahead. They wouldn't even look at me anymore after that. They said, all right, well, we'll see you later. And backed out of the driveway. Now, of course, I knew that telling them that was pretty much the nail in the coffin of my relationship with them. But then, as you all know, I had the opportunity to reconnect with them. And then my ex-wife showed them my YouTube channel. And my mother no longer wants to speak to me, but my father was speaking to me. But he wouldn't commit to having a phone conversation with me, and he wouldn't commit to meeting me anywhere just so we could sit and talk. So when I called him on those things and I got no reply, it was at that point that I had to realize that this was the penalty, or not penalty, that's not the right word. That was the consequence or the fallout or the result from me waking up and standing up for myself. The fact was, I could either stay asleep and continue the dream, or I could wake up and face the nightmare. And nightmares are not easy to deal with, especially the ones you deal with when you're awake, because you just can't wake up from those and they're over. The nightmares that you have when you're awake last a whole lot longer than the ones when you're asleep. And so for several months after that, as I've told you guys before, it was very, very difficult for me. Very difficult. Because not only did I lose my relationship with my parents, even though my ex-wife is my ex-wife, she's the mother of my daughter, and I will always love her very much. And I will always be there for her if she needed something, especially when my daughter lived there, because if she needed something, 9 times out of 10, it was something that's going to benefit my daughter. So I was always there. But because of my YouTube channel and because of the fact that I don't want to be, in a relationship with her, I also lost her because she blocked me, and the elders told her not to have any more contact with me. And regardless of how we are now, she was someone that was in my life from the time I was 15 up until last year. So, almost 30 years. And even though I'm not in love with her, she was a good friend. And even though we had different religious beliefs, we raised a daughter together. So I lost her too. And losing her and my parents and my girlfriend at the time, who I had been with for 10 years, all as a result of this situation in some way, shape, or form with the organization, was a lot. It was a lot, and it still is. But much like the caller said earlier, there is a price. There's a price for living while asleep and a price for living while being awake. But I think the price for living while asleep is much higher and costs so much more than the one that you pay for waking up. Because eventually, once you wake up, you can realize the things that you do have, not only around you, but inside you. And you can choose the people who will be in your life and the people who will be out of your life. And once I came to that conclusion, my life improved so much more. It improved so much more, even to the point where the last time me and my aunt talked about it, I literally said, "Hey, don't worry about it. Don't talk to him. It's okay. He's got Angie. They got Angie. They can have my ex-wife. That's fine." I am at a point where I'm okay with the results of me waking up. I'm happy about it. I'm content because I know, hey, there are people in my life. They're not my mother and father. I'm never. One of the things that helps you to move forward past certain things is to learn to let certain things go. There's certain things that you have to just let go. Even the things that are so close to you that in letting them go, you feel like you're letting a part of yourself go. And you don't want to do that because it literally feels like you're tearing a part of yourself away in order to let this person or these people go. And in many cases, you are. But the only way that you can move past some of these things is to let these people go. And the only way I've been able to get to a point where I'm truly happy and content with the results that I have from waking up was to realize, honestly, I am never going to have the relationship with my parents that I envision in my head. It's never going to be that. It's never going to be that. And I have to realize that it's never going to be what I want it to be. The only thing that can be what I want it to be is my life. I can make my life be exactly what I want it to be. But I can't have my life be what I want it to be while I'm trying to make sure that people who don't want to be a part of my life, while I'm chasing them and begging them to be a part of my life. Because I'm leaving my life back there while I'm going to try to chase them and theirs. That's not how that shit works. My life is over here and your life is over there. Now, I can come and be in your life if you stay there. But if you run away, I'm not chasing you, because if you run away, that means you don't want me. So that's fine. I'll stay here. Here's my life. If you want to be in it, you can come right over here, because I'm not going to run away. I'm leaving the door open. The door is open for them at any time. But they probably will not be humble enough to come through it. So now I have to realize it's not going to be that way, and it's fine. If there was any piece of advice I could give, just like the caller gave, realize that when you wake up, you got to get out of the bed. That's all I can say. When you wake up, you got to get out of the bed. Oh, You know, it's like sometimes you stay asleep and it feels so comfortable and warm in the bed. Like, oh, I got all day. I can stay in bed all day. This is great. But once you wake up, man, you got to get out of that bed and be prepared. Be prepared. Because there will be hard times. But in order to have you have to have, and this is something I've just learned in the last few months, guys. You have to have a breakdown before you can have a breakthrough. And for a lot of us, telling our family, our mother and father, our mothers and fathers, our sisters and brothers, our friends, our children even, I no longer want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses, was our breakdown. It was our breakdown. But in order to get through that breakdown and get to where we need to be, to have that breakthrough, you got to have that breakdown sometimes. You got to strip all of that old way of thinking that they programmed us with, that they indoctrinated us with. All those fears, all those false promises, all those lies, all that faith we put in those people, all the faith that we put in our families to always be there, all those feelings of inadequacy, all that has to come off. And the only way that can come off is to have a breakdown, a trial by fire. But once all those impurities are burned off, you come out on the other end, you break through, you are a whole new person. So, guys, thank you so much for tonight's show. I am eternally grateful to you all for calling in. We had so many calls tonight, I can't even count. So many calls. So much going on in the chat. So many wonderful people sharing their wonderful stories. Thank you all so much for inspiring me to continue to do this. I don't know if Dorinda is still watching, but Dorinda, thank you so much for telling me to stay on this purpose, because having everyone here to talk to and listen to has helped me so much. So tomorrow we will have a new show, and I, of course, will post it in the community tab, and we will let you all know what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful night. Get some rest. Have beautiful dreams. And have a wonderful day tomorrow, because we all deserve it. Thank you so much, my lifers. And I will see you soon. Peace.